All right, the slow build on the way home is underway. We're talking northbound 65 before you get to 24 on the west and north loop. Then the east loop, east and westbound 24 is slow go, and so is 40 both directions, all the way from 24 over to 40 on the west side. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's 8 minutes past the hour at 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. This 22nd day of October, another gorgeous day on tap, 77 degrees. So enjoy this great weather. We'll try to keep you informed and give you some stuff to think about while you are moving and grooving about the greater metropolitan area. Let's see. I think I'm going to start out with our 2024 update. Oh, look, it works today. Yay! Off to a good start. I don't know what happened yesterday. We had gremlins all day long.
Hate those gremlins.
Yeah, me too. I always thought it was a cool car, but other than that.
Well, all right.
I know. Everybody else thought it was an ugly car. I thought the Gremlin was sort of cool. I wanted one.
Cooler than the Pacer, for sure.
Yes, definitely. Which, isn't it really just the same car?
Kind of,
honestly,
yeah.
Sort of like it. All right, let's see what we got here in the way of election numbers here. I'm going to start out with listening to a guy by the name of Mark Halpern, who's been looking at the numbers as well, but not necessarily the polling numbers. You see, there may be another way to get at this and to figure out how things are going beyond the polls. He looks at the early voting metrics. And what I'm going to tell you right off the bat is it appears that Republicans, after many, many, many years of sort of, languishing and voting on Election Day, have really gotten the message that they need to get out there and they need to bank that vote and they need to vote early. And this is especially true in some key battleground states. Now, in some battleground states, they can tell you that, well, we have this many registered Republicans who voted early and this many registered Democrats. It doesn't tell you how they voted, just, which party they're in. And you can draw some conclusions from that. And he has done that. Here is Mark Halpern talking about, we're getting very, very close to the point in studying these early voting metrics to be able to sort of say, this is looking real good for Donald Trump.
Let's lead with the lead, as they say in journalism. If the early vote numbers stay the way they are, and that's a big if, we'll almost certainly know before Election Day who's going to win the election. If these numbers hold up in the states where we can understand even partially what the data is like, we'll know that Donald Trump's going to be president on Election Day. So we're going to talk about that, but I didn't want to bury that because it's extraordinarily important. And we got to track that day to day. That's more important than the polls right now. It's more important than almost anything because it's giving us insight into a variety of factors that are accounting for a Republican overperformance by various metrics in the early voting in the battleground states.
How about that? Now, look, I mean, it is true that the polling tends to underestimate Donald Trump. But looking at the enthusiasm of Republican voters and you can draw certain conclusions. They're not exact, but I mean, it does help. For example, he talks a little bit about what's going on in the crucial battleground state of Nevada.
Now, early vote. John Ralston is the David Broder of the Silver State. He's just been there forever. He's a great reporter. And he understands how to read the early vote. Let's put up what John Ralston wrote overnight about the early vote in his state. It's pretty easy to explain. The Clark firewall, that's Clark County where Las Vegas is, where the vast majority of the state's population is, has all but collapsed. The Democratic usually have a huge lead there, 4,500 votes The rurals are overperforming their share of the electorate. It's too soon to call it a trend, but this was a huge day for Republicans. They are ahead now in Washoe County, too. A few more days like this, though, and the Democratic bedwetting will reach epic proportions. As we said yesterday, don't overread the early vote. It can change. We don't know exactly who's casting these ballots, how they're voting, etc. But every analyst I've talked to in the last 24 hours, including people who speak publicly, say if this continues, Donald Trump can't lose because the Democrats can't possibly do well enough on Election Day.
How about that? How about that? Again, that's Mark Halperin giving his assessment based on early voting data. All right, the data are good, as they say. Yes, data is a plural word, so we use are. A lot of people say data is good. The data is good. No, it's data are good.
Sure doesn't sound good.
And no, I know it sounds
wrong.
weird, but it's correct.
I'll take your word for it.
The data are good. The data are good. And let's talk about, now looking at the polls, okay? Kamala Harris's lead in the general election average in Real Clear Politics has fallen to 0.8. In the general election, she leads only by 0.8. Remember, Democrats often win the popular vote but lose the electoral college vote. That is certainly the way it is. And I'm telling you, that's not good. So if she leads by 0.8 now in this 2024 race, compare that to where Biden was on this date in history 4 years ago in 2020 when he won. He was leading at this point by 7.9. So Harris is not keeping up with where Biden was in 2020 when he won. All right, so in the battleground averages, again, the averages move slowly because you're averaging a bunch of polls together. But Donald Trump has grown to a 1.2 point lead. He's at 1.2 points, and that's good. It goes up every day. She goes down in the general election number every day, and he tends to go up. That's why I say there's a trend here. Now, a lot of these things are within the margin of error, so you don't want to draw too many conclusions, and I want to be honest about that. But let's just look back, and instead of looking at all the polls, let's look and see how they've done in the last few polls, okay? I've gone through state by state and done an analysis of that. In Michigan, Trump has led in 6 out of 7 polls, and in the 7th one, he's tied. That's pretty good news. Pennsylvania, in the last 3 polls, it's been Trump by 3, and he leads in 6 out of 7 polls. In Wisconsin, the average is Trump plus 0.4. So, again, very tight there in Wisconsin. In Arizona, Trump leads in the last 5 polls, and one of them is a tie. In North Carolina, Trump leads by in the average by 0.5. So, again, too close to call. A lot of people think these North Carolina numbers are off. And I'll get into that maybe a little bit later. I'll tell you why those North Carolina numbers might not be right. In fact, the Kamala Harris people believe that they may lose North Carolina. In Georgia, Trump has led in the last 8 polls. All polls show him leading. In Nevada, Trump leads in the average by 0.7, very close. But if he wins in Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, that's 280 electoral college votes. So, again, it's all within the margin of error. But I want to talk a little bit about how they have missed it in the past. They have missed it, the pollsters have, by underestimating Trump. So, for example, I told you that Biden led in 2020 at this point by 7.9. But when the actual election took place, they found that they had overestimated Biden's numbers and underestimated Trump numbers, and it was a lot closer than that. So, it's hard to know if indeed pollsters, and we're going to get into this in a minute in a greater way, if the pollsters are still underestimating Republicans, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't, it's hard to know, then if they're still underestimating, Trump will do better than these poll numbers suggest. If they have figured out how to accurately poll Republicans, then I'll tell you it's tight. It's tight. The election, early turnout election in the state of Tennessee is pretty good. We're going to be talking a little bit later to the Secretary of State, Trey Hargett, about that and what they're doing in East Tennessee to make sure people can easily vote in their time of crisis. But a lot of people said, oh, you know what? If you change these voting rules and you do this and you do that to make in the name of voter integrity, it's really just a Jim Crow 2.0. From SarahCarter.com, since the 2020 election and the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot, Democrats have painted Republican-led election integrity efforts as a modern-day version of Jim Crow aimed at disenfranchising black voters. The Daily Caller News Foundation reports how this rhetoric began in Georgia, where in March of 21, the state passed a law tightening restrictions on absentee ballots and strengthening the verification processes. The new law required voters, oh my gosh, shocked, stunned, and amazed that they did it, but they did, to provide voter ID, photo ID, driver's license, state ID number, or the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, rather than relying on signature matches. Oh, and the Democrats, they wailed and they cried and they said this is going to suppress the black vote. President Joe Biden and Democrat Party says the leaders seized on the changes, labeling them Jim Crow in the 21st century and accusing Republicans of voter suppression. Biden's Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against Georgia, while Major League Baseball boycotted Atlanta by moving the All-Star game in protest. Biden reiterated this stance in January of 22, warning that these new measures were about voter suppression and election subversion. He claimed these laws were designed to make voting harder and questioned whether voter ballots would even count. Despite this aggressive rhetoric, Georgia experienced a record voter turnout during the 2022 midterms, and the 2024 election is shattering previous records. Within 1 week of early voting, over 1.4 million voters have cast their ballots in Georgia, a significant figure for the battleground state that delivered a crucial win for Biden in 2020. Georgia is not alone. Republican-led states like Texas and North Carolina have implemented similar election integrity measures, with both states seeing increased voter turnout. Texas passed its election security bill in 21. North Carolina removed 747 inactive voters from its rolls for reasons including death or felony convictions. North Carolina also broke its voting record this election cycle with over 350,000 ballots cast in October 17th alone. See, it was always a bunch of you-know-what. To suggest that this was somehow voter suppression. These moves were made in the name of voter integrity, and they haven't impacted voter turnout thus far, early voter turnout at all. At all. All right. Now, I told you we're going to talk a little bit about North Carolina. Democrats brace for possible crack in the blue wall, and there are signs of North Carolina slipping. This from NBC News. The blue wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania have paved the path to the White House for the last 2 Democrat presidents. But with just 14 days until the November 5th election, there are concerns within Kamala Harris's campaign about whether the vice president can claim all 3 states. Recent discussions have centered on the possibility of an anomaly happening this year, with just part of the blue wall breaking its way. The conversations have focused on whether Michigan or Wisconsin fall to former President Donald Trump, while the 2 other states go blue, according to 3 sources with knowledge of campaign strategy. Losing Wisconsin or Michigan would mean that even if Harris secures Pennsylvania, where both Harris and Trump have spent the most time and the most resources, she would not reach the necessary 270 electoral votes to win the White House without winning another battleground state or possibly 2. There's been the thought that maybe Michigan or Wisconsin will fall off, said a senior Harris campaign official, who stressed that the bigger concern is over Michigan. 2 other people with knowledge of the campaign strategy who, like others in this article, were granted anonymity to speak candidly, also underscored deep concerns about Michigan. those people still believe that all the states are close and that there are alternative routes to victory. So, I'm telling you, the Harris campaign is worried about the blue wall. And then about North Carolina. Of all the 7 states, the battleground states, the one that seems to be slipping away, is the Harris campaign official said, is North Carolina. Hurricane Helene's destruction and the rampant disinformation that followed it are factors that could weigh against Harris in North Carolina, these people said. One of the sources also pointed to a less competitive race for governor as a potential factor. A series of scandal upended Republican candidate Mark Robinson's campaign, putting him far behind Democrat Josh Stein in polling. These developments have meant less local investment and intensity on the ground. So there is that. So, apparently they are very concerned. I'll tell you that when you can tell when there's people in the campaign that are talking, because you get several stories. I've got several stories that Dems are bracing for a break in the blue wall. 23 past the hour now. Hey, have you heard about this item that Costco keeps running out of? I'm talking about gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped the bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but also it means that it's outperforming other assets like stock and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. And you know where you can get gold when Costco has run out? Well, my friends at Nashville Gold and Coin, they sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. You'll now be overcharged, and as a bonus, if you go to Nashville Gold and Coin, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line personalized customer service. Nashville Gold and Coin, the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold and Coin. That's right. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
New rules to have a float in a Tennessee Christmas parade has members of the LGBTQ plus community coming up with their own. We'll tell you about it at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom doing all the newsy things that he does and keeping you abreast of what's happening around the world and across the nation and up your street and down your alley, especially down the alley. He's big on alley news.
The latest stray cat news.
That's right. And there in the control room is Chris Webber pushing the blinky buttons. Guys, I'm telling you, I am loving this weather.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Just spectacular. Cool mornings, cool evenings, and beautiful days. We're going to hit 80 today. I mean, it's 78 now.
I think we're probably past this is the high, I would think, anyway.
You think this is it?
3:30. It may creep up a little bit, but.
Now we're supposed to hit 86 some point this week. And remember last week
Not
they
today,
were saying
though.
we're done with the 80s.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Nah, well, we're never done with the 80s in Middle Tennessee in the fall.
That's right. Or on my playlist on my iPod.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
Never done with the 80s. The pollsters blew it in 2020. And that's why I keep having some heartburn about giving you so many poll numbers. I think it's important to look at the poll numbers, and I think it just gives you a sense of where it's going. Clearly, nobody denies that there's a trend toward Trump. The question is, do the pollsters have it right? I mean, if they've underestimated the Republican vote like they have done in the past, then Trump's doing a lot better than he suggests, and it could be a real blowout. But what if they fixed their problems? In 2020, according to the Wall Street Journal, surveys had indicated that Joe Biden was closing strong against then-President Trump. He led by a comfortable 8.4 percentage points in the final 538 average and 7.2 points in the Real Clear Politics polling average. But when all the votes were counted, he actually won by less than 5 points, 4.5, a lead that barely had him eke out a victory in the Electoral College. So the question is, have pollsters figured out how to poll Republicans so that they take into account that that continual, it seems that it shows up every time, continually over-counting the Democrats and undercounting the Republicans. You know what? I could go through and read this whole story. It goes on for about 7-8 pages, and I'll probably bring you more of it a little bit later. But they've been working to solve the problem. But the question is, did they? And the answer is that among these pollsters who are very, very concerned about trying to get it right, you get about half of them say, yeah, we solved it, and about half of them said we didn't. So we don't know is the short answer. One other thing before I go to the news. The Fox News decision desk chief has said, you ready for this, guys? Unbelievable. They say that the presidential election might not be called for 4 days.
I believe it.
Yeah. So that would take us into Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we may not know until the weekend after the election. Oh, joy, oh, joy. 31 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Tennessee, News 2 says if anyone wants a float in the 2024 Cookeville Christmas Parade, the new organizers require a signature on a statement of faith. Some people take that to mean some people will not be welcome. So Cookeville residents Montana Chambers and Antonio Pedro tell News 2 they're raising money for an all-inclusive parade after hearing some people might not be welcome at the original.
We can do our own thing. We can create a Christmas parade that includes our whole community.
To include the LGBTQ plus community, to include the minorities that might not celebrate Christmas the same way, to include the students in the high schools who might not necessarily know what their faith is at this point.
Now, this private group making the new rules, sponsored by local churches of Cookeville, require on the application for a float that you affirm the belief in one God, that God created marriage solely between the male and female sex, and the belief that human life starts at conception. A death investigation in East Nashville. A man found in the street last night has died at Vanderbilt, and Channel 4's Lydia Fielder's been digging up some details.
Detectives say James Sutton died on South 5th and Russell Streets in East Nashville last night. New surveillance video from Metro Police that they're investigating right now say they're investigating this as a homicide. They say James Sutton was assaulted by another man and then fell into the road. It's not clear if another car then hit him, but he was found with a severe head injury, police say, and then later died at Vanderbilt. They still have that surveillance video. We have reached out to see if they will release that. Police say they haven't made any arrests yet, but of course we're going to stay on top of this and keep you updated as we receive those updates as well.
Down at Tennessee Highway Patrol says 5 people died, 3 others were hurt in a Rutherford County rollover crash that shut down I-24 for hours. This was on Thursday of last week. All 8 people were from Georgia, according to the Highway Patrol. The driver and 4 of his passengers died. A 17-year-old is among those who were hurt. This happened Thursday on I-24 under the Highway 96 overpass. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Got a few crashes to add into the brake tapping on your way home. Got a crash 40 eastbound after Charlotte Pike in Hillwood, and then 65 northbound at Rosa Parks Boulevard. You got a crash blocking the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, we just don't have to wait until November to start taking our country back. We can get into the fight now with Coin, which is the conservatives' credit card. Instead of funneling millions to the left like other cards do, Coin advances conservative values and charities. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. That's COIGN.com. Yes, the G is silent in the way you pronounce it, but it's definitely in there. COIGN.com. I have one in my pocket. You should get one in yours. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 39 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air all the way till 7 o'clock. And this is The Drive. That's right. We're going to drive you home, drive home a few salient points. And if we're lucky at all, we'll drive the liberals just a little crazy. It's sort of an extra added bonus. First two things, non-negotiable. So the last one, man, if we can make that happen, it's just gravy.
Icing on the cake.
Icing on the cake. LPRs. I heard my friend Matt Murphy talking about them with his guest there a little earlier. You know what? LPRs, I know that there are some within the sound of my voice who have concerns about LPR license plate readers, but the way it's been used successfully is that you have a policy where you can't even gather information off an LPR unless there's a criminal case attached or a criminal case number attached to the license plate that you're scanning for. In other words, you got a guy out there that's wanted for stealing cars. All right. And you think you know what kind of car this person is in. Or you have a stolen car and you put that license plate into the system. That it has to be connected to a criminal case, a crime of somewhat. They don't just take down everybody's information. I mean, they scan all of these things, but they only send off alerts, and they only tell the police, hey, you need to pay attention. A known felon just drove through an intersection here, and if you're looking for that person, you need to go get them right now. And, I'm telling you, they did a pilot program in Nashville, and it was a huge success. You ready? It led to 112 felony arrests in 6 months. And then they took them all out and said, well, that was the pilot program. Are you ready to move on to the permanent program? And apparently, the community oversight board, community board that looks at the police department, they raised a bunch of noise about it. And I said, well, look, it seems that you're putting these things in communities where, the people of color live. And is that fair? And can we, well, I tell you what they do is they look at, they say, well, where is our crime? And if they put the cameras up in places where they're likely to have the most crime, and it had a tremendous impact. I suspect that what really is going on here is that it was too damn effective. I mean, they got 112 felony people off the streets as a result of having the LPRs there, and I don't think there are some in our community that want to take felons off the street, quite frankly. I think they'd be just fine if the felons, what do you want? You want safe streets? Then you got to enforce the law. You want to enforce the law, you use every tool available, and police want this. They've tried it. It works in other jurisdictions. It works in Mount Juliet beautifully. They've had a tremendous success with these license plate readers in Mount Juliet, and they have taken so many criminals off the street. If you got an outstanding felony warrant, and you do not want to drive through Wilson County, I'm telling you. And so that's great. What happens? The felons aren't going to come here. Happy. I love that. That's what I want. That's what you should want if you want safe communities. So what's going on? Well, the council is getting all squirmy, and the community oversight board is getting all squirmy because, I don't think they really want these things. And the mayor says, well, we need them. The police chief has said, in a recent murder case or a recent attack, he said, we could have used these LPRs and I want them. Came up at a press conference the other day with Mayor Fast Freddie O'Connell and Dennis Ferrier. That bulldog reporter over at Fox 17 was asking some hard questions. Went like this.
You talked about using all the resources to fight crime. The elephant in the room is the LPRs. We've talked.
I'd say that's your perspective, Dennis.
Okay, yeah,
thank
it
you.
is. It is. It is my perspective, and maybe a few others like Chief John Drake, and maybe Glenn Funk, and maybe your own.
I wouldn't say that any of them have characterized it that way, but we are working partly with them.
Well, let me ask you then. While Nashville streets run with blood, what is wrong
Again,
with this
is
policy?
Absolutely your characterization.
Okay,
Dennis,
well, we had 10.
We did.
We had 10, 12 shootings.
We are very aware of the
Saturday.
violent crime incidents, but we are also pleased that with all of the efforts of everything that MMPD and MPHD are doing, violent crime remains down year over year. We are actively working with the Metro Council right now on Fusus, which is a technology-based approach. We just received feedback this week from MMPD that we had been waiting on about our LPR policies, and we are intending to take that right back before the Metro Council.
Can you tell me specifically what has been wrong with the LPR policy that has held it up for months? I think it's fair at this point to ask you, what is it?
We will be happy to share with you the list of concerns that we heard from multiple communities across Nashville and Davidson County that Metro Council members were aware of last year, and they remain aware of. I think this is going to continue to be something where we are looking for the right balance between privacy and security. And it is clear that MMPD is having success apprehending criminals, even with the absence of LPRs, as they have for decades. There are a number of scenarios that have come up that we have reviewed with you already, and we'll be happy to send you more data.
I would love to see that, because your chief, who you just lauded and is very well respected, and winning awards, he just the other day asked again for LPRs. He wants LPRs,
and his department has just shared with us the feedback on the policy updates we plan to take to the Metro Council.
Yeah, so good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that. But I mean, do you get the idea that he's kind of getting, I don't know, wobbly on the whole idea? He's not particularly convinced of it. Well, we can do plenty without that. Well, okay, that's fine. But, I mean, honestly, you do have a crime problem. You do have, I mean, even if it's not violent crime, how many cars are being stolen in Nashville? I mean, it's a big problem. Armed robbery's a big problem. I mean, it's, there's more than violent crime that's impacted by LPRs. So anyway, here are the concerns. Ensuring that already established guardrails have the force of law. Well, it's been used in a lot of other jurisdictions without issue. Ensuring that data used to initiate police interventions are sourced only from trustworthy sources. They've been able to handle that problem just about every place these things have gone in. Protecting resident data that is collected by LPRs through both big data retention requirements and prohibitions of its use by big data. Okay, I think that's fine. And I'm okay with that. We should be careful because there is sensitive information. And, it bothers me that, at first I thought, well, there are ways that it could be abused. There are certainly ways it could be abused. I don't want to deny that. But if you put an onerous burden and onerous restrictions, and what happens if somebody abuses the system, they go to jail, then I guarantee you people are not going to abuse the systems. And then we get into the soft, mushy stuff. Ensuring that LPRs are placed equitably. Oh, I'm going to throw up. Ensuring vendors are required to abide by our ordinances. Well, if you're hiring them, then they have to abide by whatever ground rules you put in there. Ensuring that our residents cannot become vulnerable in the event that our local guardrails are overturned by the state. Well, if the state overturns them, you can revisit the matter. But right now, nobody's having that problem in the state of Tennessee. I mean, I think they're putting up a bunch of worrywart ideas here. Look, I get it. Now, again, I know that some of you out there are going to go, Wilson, you're just too in the tank on this thing, and there are real concerns. Well, I don't know that there are. I understand how the system could be abused. I get that. And people say, well, it's an invasion of my privacy. Well, I don't know. The last time I checked, Supreme Court had ruled pretty straight up that you have no expectation of privacy on a public street. None. It's an invasion of privacy if somebody, some looky-loo wants to know where you've been and where you're going. And if divorce lawyers start poking around and trying to get that data, yeah, I can see where that's going to be a problem. I get all that. But those things have been handled successfully in other jurisdictions. The fact that Nashville is dragging its feet is of great concern because others have used it successfully and without issue. Because believe me, if it was being abused, we'd hear about it. We'd hear about it in a big way. And nobody can point to me of one example where it's been abused. So just get over it. Let's get these LPRs up and help the police department do their job. Cops on the street love this idea. They want to take bad people off the streets. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking they don't really care about taking bad people off the street. The number one job of government is what? Public safety. Before anything else, before you build your frickin' bus lanes, before you do whatever it is that you want to do with, the money you have left over and all of the feel-good projects that you want to do, number one job is to make sure that you make the community safe. And this is technology that helps police officers do their jobs, and by doing their jobs, they are making the community a safer place. Let's get the bad people off the roads. Let's get the people out that need to be arrested, the felons, and let's get them arrested and get them processed and get them tried by a jury of their peers. And if they're found guilty, they go to jail. Because unless you do that, then you are not serious, Mayor, of getting crime under control in this community. Give the police officers the tool that they have asked for, the tool that they tried and they tested and worked beautifully. And let this other stuff, this other nonsense go. Unless you just don't want to make the streets safe. I hope he gets over this idea that, we'll get it eventually. No, I want a date certain. Let's get it up and running. It's been way too long. The test has been over for a long time. Nobody had any concerns about privacy issues in the test. Show me one example of where somebody's privacy was violated during the test. Because you can't. 50 minutes now past the hour. Big news from DT McCall. If you've been thinking of buying a gun safe but putting it off, and now is the time. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so be sure you're keeping your guns safe when you're not in the tree stand with the Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's. DT McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. Why? Well, free delivery and setup. Some others charge $500 at least for delivery and setup of the big models and $300 for the smaller models. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe free every time. No setup charge. Because security is important these days, add a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's. It can be used for your valuables, your cash, your jewelry, your important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever it is you need to keep safe from theft or fire. Save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Breaking news about the quarter pounder. It could make you sick. We'll tell you about it at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, that's a tease. I mean, if the idea was you want me to stick around and listen to that on the newscast, I'm going to be listening.
How? Yes.
There we go. Let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials down about 6 points. S&P down about 3. NASDAQ down, or rather up. It's about 33 points. So mixed boards today. Some red, some green. Looks like a Christmas tree. What's going on with that? John Maxon is standing by over at Beacon Capital Management for more. Hello, John.
Hey, hello, Brian. Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, the S&P was down a little bit today, but an interesting trend. That's the first time that we've seen back-to-back losses in the S&P since September. Not a lot of economic data. The Fed continues to come out with several speakers, and what it's really doing is making the market really careful and a little bit cautious. That's not untypical heading into an election. But really, the fear or the concern for the market is that the economic information has been a little bit stronger than the Fed would like to see. So the question now is becoming, are they going to lower rates again in November or stay put? The rates and the yields are going up on the bond market. So the bond market's really cautious. We're going to be getting some more inflation information on Thursday. But as of today, the market's pretty cautious.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Find out more about all the things that John Maxon and the good people at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. You know, as much as we wish it were the case, there are no pills or spinal creams that can magically open up your spinal disc and take pressure off your nerves. If you have back pain, it's very much likely that it's going to be pressure on your nerves. And there are really a couple of ways to approach that. One, surgery. The other, non-invasive, non-surgical spinal decompression. Now, that's what I chose. I chose the non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Their state-of-the-art facilities and high-tech equipment offer the latest non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half-off spinal decompression treatments and half-off the KT knee machine. That's right. And if you're a new patient, get this. You'll get your exam, an x-ray if you need one, a consultation. They will come up with a treatment plan for you, and you will receive your first treatment. And all of that is only $23. I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Four o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, the breaking news. NBC News reporting an E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's quarter pounders in multiple states. At least 49 people in 10 states have been sickened in the outbreak. One person has died. Because of this E. coli outbreak, the quarter pounder hamburgers may not be available in some states. Cases have been reported in Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Oregon, Utah, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. None so far here in the South. Meanwhile, that listeria contamination recall of frozen waffles has been expanded to include pancakes, too. The waffles and frozen pancakes made by Treehouse, sold at popular retailers like Aldi, Dollar General, Kroger, Publix, Target, Trader Joe's, and Walmart. Election 2024. Davidson County election officials say power outages at a couple of early voting locations have not stopped voters from casting ballots. It just took longer. Meanwhile, Channel 4 spoke to voters at the Lentz Public Health Building on Charlotte Avenue today.
It's super easy. There's some really clear directional signage that tells you where to go, and they walk you through the process, and I think I was in and out in like 5 minutes.
We were worried that it was going to be packed when we first came in because the parking lot seemed packed, but it was seamless. It was very easy, yeah.
At least 76,000 ballots have been cast since early voting started in Davidson County. And the University of Florida's Election Lab says close to 20 million Americans have already voted nationwide. There's no way to know how they voted until the ballots are counted, but Stephen Portnoy looks at what we can glean from the data.
In states where it's available, party registration of those voting early offers a bit of fodder for prognosticators. In the key battlegrounds of Arizona and Nevada, ballots cast or mailed so far by registered Republicans now outnumber those cast or mailed by Democrats. In North Carolina, at last check, slightly more registered Democrats than Republicans had taken part in early voting. But in Pennsylvania, the overwhelming majority of mail-in ballots returned so far have been sent in by registered Democrats.
Early voting in Tennessee runs through Halloween. One airline says enough to those people who try to get their seats on board a flight when their group hasn't even been called yet. Here's Sherry Preston.
They're so despised, some airport employees call them gate lice, the people who crowd around before the plane boards, trying to sneak on before their group is called. Now, American Airlines tells the Washington Post it's testing new technology at airports in Albuquerque and Tucson that would alert gate agents with an audible noise when a passenger tries to cut in line. If the project is successful, American will expand it to other airports as well.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right now we've got a crash blocking the right lane, 40 eastbound at Charlotte Pike in West Nashville. Then in East Nashville, we've got a stalled vehicle blocking the right shoulder, Ellington Parkway northbound, right there at Cleveland Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy, and we're on all the way till 7 o'clock tonight, bringing you news and information. And, man, I'm telling you, we're soaking up the glorious day that we have here. It is the 22nd day of October. That means it is exactly 14 days till Election Day. 14 days. We read this story in the last hour, but I really, because I started running out of time, I didn't get to give it all of the attention that it needed. And I think it's worth noting, because I have this feeling, and I'd love to know, Ken Weaver, your thoughts on this.
Yes, sir.
When do you think we'll know who our next president is?
Goodness, Brian, I'm going to say probably not until the electors actually vote.
You think it's going to go that long?
I think it could.
Yeah. Here's what Fox News decision desk chief Arnon Mishkin. There's a great name.
Well, that is.
Let's just say that because it's fun together. Everybody together. Arnon Mishkin. Yeah, I love that. Has indicated that the outcome of the 2024 presidential election might not be confirmed for several days after Election Day. In an interview with Politico, Mishkin, that's Arnon Mishkin, attributed the potential delay to the vote counting process in several key swing states, including Pennsylvania. He suggested it could take up to 4 days to determine the winner. So that's one is Wednesday. Well, Tuesday, you don't begin counting until Tuesday. So Wednesday's the first full day.
Right.
Thursday, Friday. He's thinking it's going to be Saturday. That would bring similar to, they said we may not know till then. And I think, golly, I hope it's not that at all. I'm hoping that it's such a blowout. And I still can see scenarios where it could really be a blowout, and we'd know very early.
Sure.
But the longer it goes, the less uncertainty I think most Americans will have in the integrity of the process.
Right.
Yeah, I think
even though it's set up that way, we're just not used to that.
Yeah.
But we've got plenty of avenues for challenges. And plenty of time for challenges. I remember we were calling President Biden, President-elect Biden, until January.
Right.
Because of the challenges that were
that's
underway.
Right. Well, he said, that's technically true though. He is the president-elect, even and not until he's actually confirmed.
Right. Yeah. So technically, you have to.
Yeah.
But in the past, we haven't.
Let's talk about technically you should.
Right.
I don't think that in the past it's always been that way. But 4 days, I hope not. I hope that's not going to be the case. Here's something that I think is interesting. Early voting is really just crushing it. You know that already, as of yesterday, nationwide, 17 million ballots have already been cast in this election. We're in the election.
Yeah.
Voting is taking place. And now more and more states are coming online with their early voting. And Republicans, as I mentioned in the last hour, are showing up in big numbers, and we're able to draw certain things from that information because some states will tell you, they won't tell you how people voted, but they'll tell you we had 17, let's say we had 800,000 Republicans voting and 600,000 Democrats. They can tell you things like that without giving away too much. And, you can assume that Republicans are probably going to vote Republican and Democrats are probably going to vote Democrat. And so they give you some indication. So I think but 17 million voters already. And it's going big gangbusters right now in Tennessee. And a little bit later in this hour, we'll be joined by Secretary of State Trey Hargett to talk a little bit about, exactly how it's going, where the big turnout is, and what they're doing to help the people in eastern Tennessee get ready to cast their ballots and make it easy on them to do so under some pretty trying circumstances. So, Harris, first of all, she looks like she looks beat. I don't mean to be rude here, but she looks really tired, and she's not making a lot of sense. We have another example of deep thoughts by Kamala Harris. Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris. Here she is talking about tapping into optimism. Be helpful if I hit the right button.
We have to tap into and rejoice, frankly, in the spirit of who we are as Americans.
The joy and the spirit.
And we are an ambitious people. We have aspirations. We have dreams.
Dreams.
We are optimistic by nature.
Optimistic. That's the optimism part.
And we, I think, value certain qualities in our leaders.
Yes. Deep Thoughts by Kamala Harris. There we go. But she does look tired. I mean, she looks like she is whooped. As my daddy used to say, I feel like I've been rode hard and put away wet. I mean, she looks like she's been rode hard and put away wet. And I'm telling you, she's not making a lot of sense sometimes. And I wonder about this strategy that she has of going to the battleground states of, up in the Rust Belt, Wisconsin, Michigan, and all of that, and Pennsylvania. And she's showing up with Liz Cheney in tow. Is that working? I don't think it works. I don't think it works at all. So let me think. So Liz Cheney goes, what do we know about Liz Cheney? She hates Donald Trump, okay? And anybody who likes Donald Trump, they hate Liz Cheney. Are there Republicans out there that are going to say, oh, well, Liz Cheney has spoken and I need to reconsider my position? The answer is no. There's none. I can't think of, can you imagine any human being who's a Republican who says, well, Liz Cheney has told me I need to reconsider my vote, so I guess I'm gonna have to reconsider. No, nobody pays attention to Liz Cheney. And so then, the other part is, well, maybe, she'll have some sway in these battleground states, in the Rust Belt, Do you think anybody who lives in Pennsylvania, Michigan, or Wisconsin cares one whit that Liz Cheney is in tow? No, I just can't. I can't see where this is a positive. I don't see where it's a positive at all. Maybe the reporters, plug into it. Well, there's a Republican criticizing another Republican. Okay, big deal. But does it really have an impact? I'm not sure. When you look at what's going on out there, on one hand, you got Liz Cheney, who looks exhausted. She's actually pulling back for a few days. She's going to be doing some interviews and not traveling as much. In an election year, when you're down, you don't want to be out there traveling and hitting every place you can hit, hitting those battleground spots. I'm just do some interviews in Washington. I'm a little tired. And she'd been criticizing Donald Trump for the same thing. Donald Trump is out there making fries and handing out hamburgers and just everywhere he goes, you see sort of a joy. His campaign has joy in it now, and hers looks like she's just exhausted and running on empty. Brit Hume was asked about that on Fox News, and I always listen to Brit Hume because when Brit Hume speaks, I like to listen to Brit Hume. Here's Brit Hume.
Yeah, Brett, the people on the left are claiming that this event was staged. And
talking about the hamburgers.
And that it was not a real day at work at McDonald's. Well, of course it wasn't. It's a campaign event. Of course it was staged. They all are staged. The question in a situation like this, when a candidate strives to be seen doing something he would not normally be expected to do, is whether he pulled it off or not. It looked to me, from a lot of reaction that I've heard and seen, that as angry as people on the left are, that he kind of did pull it off, that he looked comfortable doing it, and that he got in there and he seemed comfortable among those McDonald's workers and was being shown how to how you dip the basket in the hot oil and how you shovel them out into the little holsters they come in and all that. He looked like he was fine doing that and was kind of enjoying himself. So,
you see it still as a coin toss?
Yeah, well, I think, these margins are all very close, but as that average suggests, they've gotten to be pretty consistent, and there's a widespread sense, not that anybody's really quite ready to make a prediction, that Trump has been gaining and that Kamala Harris has been losing ground. I think that's very widely felt, and if you look at the campaign events, She seems to be doing things that she would not do if she were ahead, and he seems to be the candidate who is now having some fun. And the McDonald's event being a good example of that. So I think that's where the race stands, but it's, I think pretty close. So I'm not doing I never do predictions, and I'm certainly not going to do one now.
Yeah, well, he always was like, I'm not going to make any predictions. Back to the Liz Cheney thing. Here's what somebody said in the Rust Belt state of Michigan. It is surprising for us as Arab Americans, as somebody she really needs to court, to have Kamala Harris bringing someone whose family name always reminds us of war crimes in the Middle East. Hamtramck Mayor Amir Ghalib told reporters in an online call Monday. Liz Cheney's father, Dick Cheney, was vice president under former President George W. Bush and a strong proponent of the 2003 Iraq War. So, I'm not sure it works out for her at all to have Liz Cheney along. Meanwhile, Trump did an event today with Latino voters and has identified illegal immigration as the top issue 2 weeks out from Election Day, and several of the speakers in attendance highlighted the importance of them as well. He thinks that in the Latino community, it's not a bad thing to talk about, taking people who are here illegally and making them go back to where they came from and try again if they want to come to this country legally. And I got another story on that, by the way. Everybody's asking, well, how can you get 20 million people out of the country? And if there are 20 million illegal migrants in the country? The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says the first priority will be 4.5 million migrants. These are the people who have come here, be the first people who have already committed crimes. They're in the system now for shoplifting or whatever it is, having done things that are untoward or unlawful. While the figure quoted by Johnson is far higher than any federal records show, Republicans have noted that the Harris-Biden administration is consistently lowballing immigration stats and ignoring nearly 2 million known gotaways who evaded arrest when coming to the country. Many migrants flock to so-called sanctuary jurisdictions in blue states like New York or California, where officials do not ask about their record or their immigration status and limit local law enforcement cooperation with federal agencies like ICE. But he says we need to get the first 4.5 million people who have broken the law and are here illegally, but they've had some run-in with the law or have some past thing against their good name, then let's go after those people first. I think it's possible. I think it's much more doable, at least in the initial part, get the people out of here who have shown an unwillingness to follow the law. And quite frankly, they all violated the law when they came to the country illegally. 20 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. It's probably one of the number one questions I get from listeners. How can I get in the conservative fight? Well, it's critical to know where your dollars are going. Most credit cards, you may not know this, but they're funneling millions to the left. Now you have a choice. Coin is America's conservative credit card. You earn cash back while fighting the liberal agenda. Apply now to coin.com. Now, it's spelled an unusual way. Let me spell it for you. COIGN. The G is silent when you say it, but you got to put it in there. Coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The CDC says E. coli illnesses and at least one death have been linked to a McDonald's hamburger, and the listeria recall has been expanded from waffles to frozen pancakes. We'll tell you about those stories and more at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm in my chair. Ken Weaver in the newsroom, Chris Weber in the control room. Together we make up the drive, and we're going to be here all the way till 7 o'clock. I want to talk about the event that's happening because here's what I want to do. In the time that I'm here on this show today, I want you to sign up for one of these VIP seats at the event. Because, you know, we got the word this morning that, you know, there are only 30 left. Now, I'm sure some have been taken since that memo came out this morning, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 VIP seats remain. And you know, I want you to, you know, if you think, you know, I want to be a VIP at this event. And I'm sure there will be a velvet rope, you know, and some big burly guy to keep all of the riffraff out, you know. That would be like me. You know,
what, the burly guy or the riffraff?
No, I'd be the riffraff. He wouldn't let me in. Yeah. I don't qualify as a VIP. But, you know, and I'm sure, you know, but you're going to get special stuff if you're a VIP. First of all, an all-inclusive VIP ticket to WTN's presidential election party right there. That's worth the cost of admission. VIP tickets include food and beverage. So your food is all taken care of. And they have, you'll get a couple of tickets for alcohol if you're 21. And this is really the selling point. This is the selling point. VIP seating and a WTN goodie bag for the VIPs. A goodie bag.
Ah, yeah.
Now, I don't know what's in the goodie bag because they don't let us have any goodies.
Probably some Tootsie Rolls and candy corns.
No, maybe. I don't know. No, listen, I mean, I would like to have an accounting of what's in the goodie bag, what constitutes as a goodie. But I have a feeling, you'll get a goodie bag where, people who just come regularly will not get the goodie bag. Yeah. They'll not get all of this VIP treatment.
Yeah, you can stand behind that rope and go, nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Look at me.
That's right. You'll be on the other side of the velvet rope, and the people, the other people will sit there and just look at you and say, wow, I wish I was a VIP. And I said, well, you could have had your chance because there are 30 tickets left.
That's right. Get them now. They're going fast.
The way it's going to work is election night, Wilson County Fairgrounds, Made in Tennessee building. I'm going to be there at 3 with the drive. And we'll start the show there at 3. You can come on out early, hang out. I'll try to make my way, past the VIP section to have, if you want to have a selfie or an ussy, whatever it is, a wheezy.
A wheezy.
Well, it's not really a selfie if they're two people.
No, it's an ussy.
It's an ussy.
Yeah.
So I'll try to do that. So you don't feel left out if you're not a VIP. There will be some other benefit to being there. But it's going to be a good time. I mean, come on, really, honestly, don't you want to hang out with people who sort of look at the world the same way that you do? Of course you do. So Wilson County Fairgrounds, Made in Tennessee building. I would like it a lot if I got a memo tomorrow that says, I don't know what happened, but, starting about 4:30, we sold out a bunch of VIP tickets. And the way that you find out about this is then they're on sale now at 997WTN.com.
Can't miss it. Big old box pops up right as soon as you click on the page.
Yeah,
yep.
I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's easy to find.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. I don't even know what they're asking. But really, when you're talking about being a VIP at this event and getting a WTN goodie bag.
Can't put a price tag on that.
I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. Nope. They just really can't. So, I mean, I want them. I want Dave Elliott, our sales manager, to send me a memo saying, I don't know what you said yesterday at 4:30, but man, we sold out the rest of them.
Let's make it happen, people.
Let's make it happen, people. 997WTN.com. Coming up after the news, we will talk to Secretary of State Trey Hargett and find out how early voting is going here in Tennessee. I've got some early numbers here, and it's really quite interesting how big a turnout we're having in the state of Tennessee. It's all straight ahead. Right now, time for the news.
.4:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we need some rain. Burn bans are in effect in Laverne and Murfreesboro. That means campfires, cooking fires, not allowed. Not a whole lot changing anytime soon either. Tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. At least 49 people in 10 states have been sickened, linked to an E. coli outbreak in McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburgers. One person, an older adult in Colorado, has died. 10 people have been hospitalized. The CDC says it is not yet known which ingredient in the Quarter Pounder is making people sick. Cases have been reported in Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Oregon, Utah, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Meanwhile, that listeria contamination recall of frozen waffles has been expanded to include frozen pancakes. These products made by Treehouse were sold at popular retailers like Aldi, Dollar General, Kroger, Publix, Target, Trader Joe's, and Walmart. And in Middle Tennessee, one person died. 3 others were hurt in a crash in Murfreesboro this morning. It was on Veterans Parkway at Kingdom Drive around 11 o'clock. This is just south of Highway 96. The cause of the crash under investigation by the Murfreesboro Police Department Fatal Accident Crash Team. Money News, here's Brian Clark.
Stocks turned around at midday on Wall Street as investors began to digest the recent bond market sell-off and another round of earnings reports. But markets eventually closed the day lower. The Dow lost 7 points, the S&P 3, the Nasdaq added 33. General Motors stock jumped 10% after the automaker reported stronger profit and revenue than expected. Philip Morris gained 9% because it also topped forecasts for profit and revenue. Reuters is reporting bankrupt Tupperware has agreed to sell its business to a group of lenders for over $23 million in cash and $63 million in debt relief. In return, it's canceling plans for an open market auction. The 10-year Treasury note climbed more than 4% for the first time in 3 months before pulling back. And paging George Jetson, flying air taxis closer to fruition. Federal regulators give a strong push to electric-powered air taxis as they issue a final rule for operating the aircraft and training pilots.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. In addition to the bumper-to-bumper drive home, we've got crashes to contend with right now on the west side, 40 eastbound after Charlotte Pike. The right shoulder is blocked. And then 440 westbound right before I-40 on the west end. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, listen, you're going to do a little tailgating. I mean, would you like to take some of that great flavor that you've had down at the steaks at Legend Steakhouse with you? Well, you could do that, and you can have it right on your own tailgate grill. Just walk down to your local grocery store aisle, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands, so you don't have to worry about over-marinating. And when you talk about his honey mustard salad, well, a lot of people do talk about it. You can use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips, a recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. If your grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, well, just ask them to do so, and they can get more information by going to johnnyfleeman.com. Goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legend Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Yes, I can read numbers. Glad that you're with us here on The Drive. Thank you so much for being with us. Joining us on the Newsmaker hotline. Golly, let's start over. The hotline is Trey Hargett, Secretary of State. Mr. Secretary, thank you so for joining us on The Drive. Greatly appreciate it. Your office has sent over these numbers from the early voting and absentee voting. And, in the state of Tennessee already, it's only November, October 22nd. We got a few more days left to go. We're talking already 820,000 people have cast ballots in the state of Tennessee. How does that compare with past years?
Well, thank you for having me on, Mr. Wilson. By the
bet.
way, I'm glad it's the hotline, not the heartline.
The heartline, because you have to be talking about things from the heart then, and we don't want to get into that.
So, if you look at 2016 numbers, we're certainly blowing those numbers out of the water. 2020, 2020, we're a little bit behind that pace, but that's a little misleading because you had a lot of absentee ballots that came in on the first day of early voting in 2020. By how we always calculate that as the absentee numbers count with the early voting numbers. So I suspect that once those kind of wash out, you're going to see us surpassing the 2020 numbers by the end of early voting.
Wow, so that's a pretty good sign. I mean, Republicans have been asked to vote early. Do you have a breakdown of whether it's Republicans or Democrats that are driving these numbers?
I don't. I think what really drives it is people have their mind made up. They're ready to go and get their vote counted. And also, I will tell you, typically whenever you go ahead and early vote, you get off the robocall list, you get off the mail list, and unfortunately, you can't get off the TV commercial list. But that's a driver for a lot of people. Say, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take advantage of early voting and get my ballot in the box and not wait till November 5th.
Yeah, well, it's very clear that a lot of people are doing that. Some people have reported some problems with some of the voting machines, and I wonder if you've heard about this. Apparently, they say, I guess it's people who have fat fingers or something, but on these electronic screens, sometimes when you try to push the button, it doesn't quite go for the candidate that you wanted, and they've said in some places they've given out, little, little.
Yeah, I think Davidson County's been doing coffee stirs.
Coffee stirs, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, they've done that in Davidson County, and all counties are doing that. I think one of the misleading things, I think there's a rectangle in the upper left-hand corner. There's a smaller box, and I think a lot of people are hitting that smaller box or hitting at the top of the box, so it may, or they think they're hitting the top of the box, and instead they're hitting the bottom of the one above it.
Yeah.
I just want to tell people, hit right square in the middle of the name of the person you're voting for. I mean, it's not hard, but I will tell you this, every 2 years, every 4 years, we have people say these kind of things. And so I'm not trying to make light of it because it's a serious matter, because everybody needs to know that their vote is being counted correctly. And the good thing is that even after you touch that, if it were to light up incorrectly, your notice is lighting up incorrectly. And then on top of that, you're getting a ballot back showing what you marked. And if you still think that's incorrect, then don't run it through the scanner and you can talk to the election official and do something about it there. But it certainly isn't a minority of what we're hearing out there.
All right, so it's a small problem, and you hear this before. So just hit in the middle of the box. Don't go for the little tiny box up in the left-hand corner.
Yeah, don't be shy about it. Whatever your candidate is, go ahead and hit their name. And
right in the middle. Okay, good deal. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I also want to find out from you exactly what you think is going on and what you can do to help the people out in eastern Tennessee. I mean, obviously, it seems to me you need to make it as easy as it possibly can be made to let these people vote whenever they can vote, given the fact that, their day-to-day existence is probably the most important thing. I mean, it's hard to think about casting a ballot when you are worried about getting a clean water to drink and a roof over your head, or you're living out of a tent, as many people in that area are. What are you doing in eastern Tennessee to help people cast their ballots and make sure that their vote is counted?
Well, thank you for asking that. And one of the things that we did, the week following the disaster, was myself and our coordinator of elections traveled there to visit all the election commissions and talk about what the needs might be, try to think forward a little bit about what options are. And we were really, I shouldn't say pleasantly surprised. I was overwhelmed by how forward-thinking they had been about absentee ballots had not been returned, reaching out to people, reaching out to family members, trying to reach people who requested absentee ballots who might have been affected to see if they lost their ballots, if they had mailed them back, what we might need to do in the way of getting them to spoil that ballot in case it couldn't be accounted for, things like that. Also, having to move some voting locations or merge voting locations because the previous location, frankly, had been destroyed. And we've got a couple areas. We found out about one today in Carter County where there's been a slide up there, and it could result in a longer than usual drive to the polls. So we're trying to figure that out. The key is, though, we feel like we've got a plan, and county election commissions have a plan for every Tennessean that wants to vote to be able to vote. And, of course, certainly the absentee ballot deadline has not passed yet. So that we got to October 29th for somebody to request a ballot. If they want an absentee ballot, we need to hurry up. They need to request one. We need to hurry up and get it to them so they can have time to get it back in. So we're trying to think outside the box, but also importantly thinking inside the legal box, because we don't want to do anything that would cast a shadow of a doubt about the integrity of the election.
Yeah, and on that point, I know Tennessee has done a lot of things, and we are looked upon as sort of one of the states that is the gold standard for voter integrity issues, and we have a pretty good plan to make sure that only those people who are qualified to vote are voting, and we do have voter ID, which I love. I wish every state would require it, but they don't. So we do a lot of things in that regard. But if people see something on election day that, they just say, what, this doesn't quite look right to me. This doesn't feel right to me. I'm seeing something that just, that's just sort of out of pocket or unusual. What should they do? How should they contact your office? And how and what will you be doing on that day to monitor those kinds of issues?
Well, great question. Number one, if you are at a polling station, you see something that doesn't look right, as much as I would like you to call us immediately, find the chief officer at that election polling place so something can be done about it on the spot. One of the things that we really worry about is when people decide to call us an hour or two later about something that happened, and by that instance, sometimes it's over with. Trying to trace people down. So if you're at the polling place, find that election officer and report something to them. But certainly you can email us. You can call us at 877-850-4959. You call it, and that's a toll-free number. It rings right into our Division of Elections. And, one of the mistakes that people make is there's other third-party groups out there that say, hey, if you see something, call us. Well, a lot of times, and this is on both sides of the aisle, what they're really trying to do is just collect data so they can contest the election afterwards. They're not really interested in solving the problem that day. And we want to solve the problem as soon as we can. So
right.
if you want to be part of a lawsuit, call those other people. If you want to try and fix the problem, call us.
And give me that number again, 877?
850-4959.
Okay, I've got that written down. We'll be sure as we get closer to the election to put that number out there in case there are anything. But I can understand how somebody would see something and they talk, maybe they're at the husband and wife and they see something, they talk among themselves and they don't think to pick up the phone or to talk about something there. They get home and they talk about it some more and then they decide to call in. That's not helpful at all.
Well, I'll tell you what's even more harmful, Brian, is that one of the things that frustrates me is they'll say, well, somebody will call us or email say, well, I had a friend who saw, or, I had a family member who saw. And I'll say, well, to have your family member call me, have your friend call me so I actually know who saw it and what I can talk to them about. Mm-hmm. And amazing enough, that friend or family member usually never calls. And so that's frustrating. Why is it the person who sees it doesn't call? It's always a friend of a friend. It's almost like an old REO Speedwagon song. And so we just want people, when you see it, go ahead and tell us something while you're thinking about it. Don't go call a friend and tell them. Report it immediately so we can take action.
Yeah, I like that idea, and I think that's a good piece of advice. Rumors. I know that I'm hearing rumors, and I know you hear all kinds of crazy rumors. Do you have a way to sort of, have a rumor clearance line where, you can run these things down and say, we're hearing a lot of reports about this, that, and the other, and that, here's what you need to know about that. Do you have a way to help people get accurate information, because so many times, I get calls on this program. Well, I heard, and it's hard to know where it came from, or if it's real, or if it's just somebody's misunderstanding. What can we do in that regard?
Well, honestly, you and your station have always been great about either being proactive and saying, hey, we heard this, what can you tell us? Or if we hear something, we reach out to reputable news sources to say, hey, make sure you help us get this out there. What we don't want to do is overreact whenever one person who has a kitten for a profile pic and about 7 followers on Twitter says something.
Yeah.
You try not to overreact and help something that you don't want to go viral. But we use our social media channels as well to try and dispel those things. And so, if we sense that there's misinformation being spread and there's a real danger of that going viral, we try to be pretty quick to respond through our different channels and let people know here's how to separate fact from fiction. Because you're right, the rumors are very damaging. And I'm amazed how many times people will put something on social media and they'll just state it as fact, and we will go back behind it and direct message them and say, hey, where did you hear that? We need to talk some more about that. And it's amazing me how many often they'll come back and say, oh, I was mistaken about that. That's not what I meant, or I talked to somebody and that's really not what happened. But they never go back and take that original post down. And so they allow it to hang out there, and people continue to see it, and it's just accepted as truth. And so us and other election officials around the country, Democrat and Republican, are really having to fight that battle about when do you step in and tell people something's different, or do you run the risk of helping something go viral when it shouldn't go viral to start with?
Right. So do I hear this correctly, that you are proactive? You monitor stuff and you're looking for things proactively, not just waiting on people to call and say things? Yeah.
No, our team is monitoring social media all day long. I have to admit to you, I don't look at Twitter. I don't know my passwords. But other people are looking at Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook all day long, and news channels out there just trying to see what happened. Like earlier today, that I read about something that, and I actually know the person. They posted something on Facebook about a prominent area. We're trying to run down whether or not that's true or not. But I'm sitting there thinking, you chose to go on Facebook. You've got my cell phone number. You could have called me personally so we could start working on it.
Right. Well,
I saw the Facebook post, so that's a good thing.
We just saw a story, and we're talking nationwide here, that we may not know who the president is for maybe they say 3-4 days. What's your sense? Here in Tennessee, we'll get our votes counted a lot quicker, right?
Yeah, some states we will. I mean, some states allow postmarked absentee ballots to come in. So we require absentee ballots to be in by the close of polls on Election Day. United States Postal Service is very good about making sure that they check all their locations to make sure there's no ballots sitting around on Election Day. Some states, like Pennsylvania, and I don't know I can't remember how long they allow this, but if it's postmarked by Election Day, it can get in the next day and still be counted. So, one of the things I stress is that we want to be accurate and we want to be fast. Now, given a choice between the two, I'm going to pick accurate between the two. I'd rather us know that every vote was counted once, no more, no less, than thinking we had an artificial timeline about when to announce results. So, I hope that come midnight, election night, it's a foregone conclusion in Tennessee that we've got all the votes counted. But if it takes longer than that, then to get it right, then we're going to take longer than that.
Accuracy is the most important thing. I think we can all agree on that. Well, I wonder if I can count on you to maybe same time, same bat channel on Election Day. Maybe you check in with us at 4:35 on that day. Would that be something
that'd be great.
I could ask of you, see how things are going? All right. Well, Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for joining us here on The Drive. I greatly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Have a good night.
All right. It's and by the way, it's Brian. It's 4:52 now on Super Talk 99.7. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. That's what they're known for. And they're also known for their basic Smart Care plans, which start at $69 a month and includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for an entire year. At Grace Point, you're usually seen the same day or the next day, and there's no wait times, no long wait times, and no long wait times in the waiting room. Tapping your toe. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family, from newborns to seniors. Grace Point is a place where you can get your allergies checked. You having fall allergy issues? A lot of people do this time of year. Get complete testing and treatment. Enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
'You know, if you've lived in this area for a long time, you know that Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee, the place to go for your European car repair for some 24 years now. And we've all got to watch them grow. I don't know about you, but it's really great to watch a hometown business take off. And we're proud now to announce a new location for for Eurofix in Mount Juliet, on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from the old Dairy Queen. Eurofix can now serve you in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in a barn in the backyard of his single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Call this number, 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com.
Five o'clock on the dot this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, health officials are investigating an E. coli outbreak. It's linked to McDonald's quarter-pounder hamburgers in multiple states. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says it's not yet known which ingredient in the hamburger is making people sick. At least 49 people in 10 states have been sickened in this outbreak. One person, an older adult in Colorado, has died. 10 people have been hospitalized. The cases have been reported in Colorado, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Oregon, Utah, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Murfreesboro has a new bridge designed to make the commute easier for thousands every day. It's near the new Costco and runs over the West Fork Stones River, connects the Cason Lane area with another option for getting to Old Fort Parkway and downtown faster. Borough officials say Cason Lane currently sees 10,000 cars a day, Old Fort 50,000 a day.
Again, we're eliminating friction, traffic friction. It could save quite a bit of time based on the volumes that we're seeing on Old Fort Parkway. And you know, we are in the process of working with TDOT, trying to get that section of roadway widened. Hopefully we'll know something in the near future of how that project stands.
So Tommy Bragg Drive, named after one of Murfreesboro's former mayors, comes with 5- and 10-foot multi-use sidewalks and will eventually be expanded to cross over I-24 and give access to State Route 99. Right now in Nashville, District 26 Metro Council member Courtney Johnson was in studio on WTN's Matt Murphy show today. She says police begged for license plate reader cameras more than 4 years ago. She says she filed legislation in 2020, which led to the pilot program 2.5 years later, which she says was successful. 112 felony arrests during that program.
Now we say, oh, well, we need to fix the policy. The policy doesn't work. Well, if the policy didn't work, then the pilot wouldn't have been as successful. And for a policy that we've discussed for over 2.5 years, I think it's pretty well hashed out.
Well, some members of the community claimed a placement was racially discriminatory because the cameras were in mostly non-white and low-income neighborhoods. Well, now you have Metro Police Chief John Drake reiterating he wants them back in light of the seemingly random murder of Alyssa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway. He says we could have arrested that suspect faster. Metro Police and other departments going to be at a community meeting tonight to discuss license plate reader cameras with the public. That means you're invited. That meeting starts at 6 at Cane Ridge High School. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we're dealing with crashes here. We've got Central Pike at South New Hope Road in Hermitage, Harding Place at Danby Drive, Harding Pike east of Woodlawn Drive. Then on the interstates, 40 eastbound at Charlotte Pike. You got the right shoulder blocked there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hour number 3 of the drive now kicking off. 7 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Still a very pleasant evening, 77 degrees. Glad that you're with us. We are now just 14 days away from the election. And won't you be glad when it's over? I'll be glad when it's over, because we've been talking about this a lot, and it's like time to get down and to business. In fact, the fact of the matter is a lot of people are already getting down to business. Some, I forget what it is, 15 million Americans. Yeah, 15 million Americans have already voted in this election, early voting. And, you know, in some places, you can look at early voting and they give you a breakdown. Well, you know, there were this many registered Republicans who voted and this many registered Democrats who voted. And you get some data out of that, and it helps you to extrapolate how things are going. Now, Democrats have always played this game very well, early voting, and that means that it's very hard to catch up with them on Election Day. But now we're looking at some of this data, and it's looking pretty good for Republicans in some of these key battleground states. So we know pretty much where Tennessee's going to be. Tennessee's heavily Republican. That's why we have supermajorities of Republicans in the House and the Senate, why we have a Republican governor. It's just, you know, these metropolitan areas that tend to vote blue. But outside of that, it's all ruby red, and that works well for us. But in these battleground states, especially those where the early voting is really, I mean, they really have gotten busy with it, there are some things you can draw from that data. The data are interesting, as they say. Here's Mark Halprin, a journalist who's going through some of the things that the data can show us.
Let's lead with the lead, as they say in journalism. If the early vote numbers stay the way they are, and that's a big if, we'll almost certainly know before Election Day who's going to win the election. If these numbers hold up in the states where we can understand even partially what the data is like, we'll know that Donald Trump's going to be president on Election Day. So we're going to talk about that, but I didn't want to bury that because it's extraordinarily important. And we got to track that day to day. That's more important than the polls right now. It's more important than almost anything because it's giving us insight into a variety of factors that are accounting for a Republican overperformance by various metrics in the early voting in the battleground states.
All right, so let's talk about the battleground state of Nevada. And Halpern says there is some information there that looks pretty good for Republicans.
Now, early vote. John Ralston is the David Broder of the Silver State. He's just been there forever. He's a great reporter, and he understands how to read the early vote. Let's put up what John Ralston wrote overnight about the early vote in his state. It's pretty easy to explain. The Clark firewall, that's Clark County where Las Vegas is, where the vast majority of the state's population is, has all but collapsed. The Democratic usually have a huge lead there, 4,500 votes. The rurals are overperforming their share of the electorate. It's too soon to call it a trend, but this was a huge day for Republicans. They are ahead now in Washoe County, too. A few more days like this, though, and the Democratic bedwetting will reach epic proportions. As we said yesterday, don't overread the early vote. It can change. We don't know exactly who's casting these ballots, how they're voting, etc. But every analyst I've talked to in the last 24 hours, including people who speak publicly, say if this continues, Donald Trump can't lose because the Democrats can't possibly do well enough on Election Day.
So that's interesting, don't you think? I mean, I think it is. Florida, apparently, they've just, blown it out of the water. I mean, it looks, pretty reliably at some of this early voting data and other things that suggest that Florida is going to be a very red state. But you got to be careful with this data, as it is with other data. You can, it can mislead you, and you need to be careful in the way you extrapolate the data. And, me in math, I don't do much extrapolation. Looking at the Real Clear Politics page very quickly, these are traditional polling things. Kamala leads in the general election average, but it's fallen. Each and every day you look up and it's like dropped another tenth, another tenth, another tenth. In the general election average, Real Clear Politics general election average, she has now fallen to a 0.8 lead. Meanwhile, Trump's lead in the battleground averages has gone to 1.2. 1.2 lead for Donald Trump in the all-important battleground average. Now, some states are doing better than others in the battleground, but I went through and looked at, these averages, they move slowly because you're averaging a lot of polls. But what if you average, the most recent polls? And how are the most recent polls looking in some of these states? All right, here's some examples. I looked in the state of Michigan. There have been 7, let's say the last 7 polls, 6 of them Trump has led in. In the 7th, it's a tie. That's a good sign that all of those polls are red. Now, are they blowouts? No, they're not. All within the margin of errors, but again, the trend is there. The trend is your friend. Remember that. Remember, say that with me because it's fun to say it. The trend is your friend. If you got the trend going your way, it's a good thing. Pennsylvania, the last three polls all have Trump up by 3. How about that? Wisconsin, it's tight. The average of the recent polls is Trump up by 0.4. In Arizona, Trump leads in the last 5 polls, and then there's one that's a tie. In North Carolina, Trump leads in the average by only 0.5. It's very tight. In Georgia, Trump leads in the last 8 polls. There are no blue polls. They all show him leading in Georgia. In Nevada, very tight again. Trump leads by only 0.7. But I mean, if you take this printout, that gets him there. If he wins Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, he comes up with 280 electoral college votes. You need 270 to win, right? Right. And then there's another way to look at this, and that's to compare it with 2020. Now, Biden won in 2020, right? Biden, on this date in history in 2020, 4 years ago, Biden led Trump by 7.9, almost 8 points. Today, Harris leads Trump by 0.8. Not 8, 0.8. So, again, I know what you're saying. I hear it, and believe me, I understand it. You can't read too much into these polls, and the polls can be wrong. But there's a real question here about whether or not the pollsters have, over time, underestimated Trump. Now, we know that, for example, in 2020, they missed Trump's support by about 5 points. Now, Biden was way ahead in the popular vote before the election in the polls, but when it all was said and done, it was a much tighter race. I mean, Biden won it, but just barely. He barely squeaked out a win in the Electoral College. And that's because the pollsters underestimated Trump's strength, right? All right, so where is Trump, today? Well, the pollsters have been working since 2020. 2022, when Trump wasn't on the ballot, the pollsters got it pretty close to right. But now that Trump's back on the ballot, the question is, are they underestimating Trump, or have they figured out how to poll to get his number correct? If they are still missing him and they're underestimating, then this is a runaway election, quite frankly. If they've got it right, it's going to be tight. So there you go on that. And let me just say something else about all of this early voting. With 15 million people voting, it just demolishes this Democrat argument that, well, anytime you come in and try to impose voter integrity, it's really just Jim Crow 2.0. Since the 2020 election, from sarahcarter.com, Democrats have painted Republican-led integrity efforts as a modern-day version of Jim Crow aimed at disenfranchising black voters. And this started in Georgia, where in March of 21, the state passed laws tightening restrictions on absentee ballots and strengthening the verification process. The new law required voters to provide photo ID, driver's license, state ID, or the last 4 digits of your social, rather than relying on a signature match. Oh, the Democrats. Oh, the wailing and the screaming and the hollering and the gnashing of the teeth. Oh, my goodness. You're telling me there's nobody out there that doesn't have a Social Security number? You're telling me there's nobody out there that doesn't have a driver's license or a Social Security number? Well, it's an unnecessary burden on the voter, and you're going to be suppressing the votes. Well, in the early voting, the indications are it's going like gangbusters. So it just blows this whole thing that, asking people to prove who they say they are when they go to cast their ballots. It's not an onerous burden. It's not an onerous burden on voters. Georgia experienced a record voter turnout in the 2020 midterms, and the 2024 election is shattering previous records so far. With just 1 week of early voting, over 1.4 million voters had cast their ballots in Georgia, a significant figure for the battleground state that delivered a crucial win for Biden in 2020. Louisiana also had an election integrity push. Republican Governor Jeff Landry signed an executive order requiring state agencies to notify non-citizens of U.S. citizenship requirements when distributing vote registration materials. Despite these measures, Louisiana has set a record for early voting, with nearly 177,000 ballots cast on November 18th, exceeding 2020's figures. Texas, same way. So, let's stop this talk about, it's too much to ask people to prove they are who they say they are. It's not an onerous burden at all, and it doesn't suppress the vote. All the indications are people are voting. Absolutely voting. This concerns me a little bit. The Department of Justice has deployed district election officers to handle threats and intimidation at polls. Department of Justice has announced the deployment of district election officers to handle reports of intimidation and threats, fraud, and other election irregularities as part of the Election Day program. Multiple news releases from the DOJ were sent last week for specific districts with similar or identical wording for the respective areas' election officers who are set to respond to alleged abuses on Election Day. It's not clear how many have been issued so far, but the DOJ announced more on October 21st. In an October 21 release announcing the Middle District of Pennsylvania's election officer, the DOJ said, it has an important role in deterring and combating discrimination and intimidation at the polls, threats of any kind directed at election officials and poll workers, and election fraud. The department will address these violations wherever they occur. Well, I'm just wondering, will they be watching and asking questions of when Republicans raise concerns, or only when Democrats raise concerns? I don't trust the Department of Justice. I've come to believe that there is no justice to be gotten in the Biden Department of Justice. They are in the tank. The Attorney General is the Attorney General for the Biden administration, and he's not the Attorney General of the United States. 20 minutes now past the hour. Here it is, Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. You've been hearing about this. It's huge. If you've dreamed of wearing a Rolex, you can't miss this special two-day event, Friday and Saturday. Now, during this event, you can take advantage of special pricing and zero-interest financing on a stunning selection of luxurious pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Genesis has brought in hundreds and hundreds, the hottest Rolex models that you can't find anywhere else. Every one of the Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes is in pristine, like-new condition, some just out of the box, and all are priced to sell at this event. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's a $3,000 value. And if you own a Rolex, Genesis buyers are on site and offering top dollar for your watch so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of special financing and get a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. It's this Friday and this Saturday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
E. coli linked to a particular fast food hamburger. New rules for a Tennessee Christmas parade has some groups thinking they're not welcome, and dry weather leading to burn bans. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Look, I'm going to say it again. I have a mission today, and I want to sell out the last of the VIP tickets for the big election party. And look, I mean, it's a good thing to be a VIP, right? I mean, everybody wants to be a very important. Well, you're all important to me. But we do have this VIP ticket thing, and if you get a VIP ticket, you get food and beverage included. You get a VIP ticket to a special. I'm guessing it's like velvet ropes and that kind of stuff.
Plush,
I mean,
nice.
there'll be this big guy standing right there at the edge to keep the people who aren't VIPs out of the VIP section. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm
like
sorry,
all of
sir,
us.
you can't come in here without a VIP ticket. Yeah. But they won't let me in there, that's for sure. You're darn sure about that. But with the VIP ticket, you get food and beverage, and you get a couple of tickets for some alcohol, and you'll get VIP seating in the VIP section. And if all that weren't enough, and by gosh, don't you think it should be, you will also receive, I don't know, do we have a special sound effect we can do for this? No. You'll be getting a WTN goodie bag.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody
we have no idea what's in there.
Yeah, I have no idea. But it says it's a WTN goodie bag. And, I'm sure there are WTN goodies.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, it's all that stuff they've been stockpiling for years by not giving it to us.
They don't give the staff any, but they'll give you some.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you want that bag. And so, here's what I'm telling you. Today, got a memo from General Sales Manager Dave Elliott. And Dave said, well, we have 30 tickets left. There's only 100 VIPs. And we've sold 70. We got 30 left. So if I want Dave Elliott's memo tomorrow to say, Brian Wilson did something yesterday afternoon because after about 4:30 in the afternoon, when we started talking about it, we started selling them VIP tickets like crazy. So if you're within the sound of my voice and you want a VIP ticket, just go to 997WTN.com. Tell them that your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you. No, it won't matter. But do it anyway.
They'll charge you more for that.
What, he sent you? Well, then we'll stick an extra surplus charge on there. And there'll be a surplus fee. I don't know, but I think it'll be a good time, honestly. All the kidding aside and all the nonsense, we'd love to have you come. You don't have to be a VIP to come. You can come and, you won't get the VIP goodie bag. I don't know. What do you think's in there?
I have no idea. I literally couldn't even fathom a guess.
Well, they do clean out the refrigerator every month in the break room.
Okay.
You get that half-eaten bottle of ranch
I wonder
dressing.
if there's something I could add to the WTN. Let's see if I got anything here. Well, you know what I do have?
What you got?
I got my Oscar Mayer weenie whistle.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Yeah, now that would be pretty good.
Not much of a whistle. Oh, there it goes.
There's the wrong side. That's all. I mean, I can't think of anything that I have that would be interest. But I definitely, listen, I want it done. So get busy, folks. Just go ahead and buy them now. You want to come. It'll be a good time had by all. So if for anybody who wants to go, the details are at 997WTN.com. Again, Wilson County Fairgrounds, Made in Tennessee building. There are going to be a lot of folks turning out. I mean, it's going to be a big group. A big group, I'm pretty sure. And we're going to be there, as they say, late into the evening. I'll start at 3 o'clock with the drive, somewhere around 5, 6, whenever the other guys, whenever they lollygag in, they'll be joining me. And then we'll go late into the evening as we're waiting on results and taking a look. We could have a really good sense of it by midnight. I mean, I don't know that we'll know for sure, but we'll definitely have a pretty good sense of it because we'll know how some of the battleground states in the East Coast are performing and what's happening there. So it's going to be a good fun event. Come on out And let's get those VIP tickets sold today, right now. Time's a waste. I mean, what are you waiting for? Get over there. What is it? 997WTN.com. I got to get it straight. It's 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Tuesday afternoon. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and right now, at least 49 people in 10 states have gotten sick with E. coli. Federal regulators say a popular fast food item may be the source. Here's Brian Clark.
The CDC says there may be a link to McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburger, specifically onions and beef. McDonald's says food safety is its top priority. It's removed Quarter Pounders from menus in Colorado, Kansas, Utah, and Wyoming, as well as in parts of 8 other states.
Tennessee is not one of them. Neither is Kentucky. News 2 says if anyone wants a float in the 2024 Cookeville Christmas Parade, the new organizers require a signature on a statement of faith. Some people take that to mean that some people aren't welcome. So Cookeville residents Montana Chambers and Antonio Pedro tell News 2 money's being raised for an all-inclusive parade after hearing some people may not be welcome at the original.
We can do our own thing. We can create a Christmas parade that includes our whole community.
To include the LGBTQ plus community, to include the minorities that might not celebrate Christmas the same way, to include the students in the high schools who might not necessarily know what their faith is at this point.
So the new group in charge of the Cookeville Parade, making the new rules, sponsored by local churches, require on the application for a float that you affirm the belief in one God, that God created marriage solely between the male and female sex, and the belief that human life starts at conception. Well, the dry weather's leading to burn bans. Megan Carpenter with the Tennessee Division of Forestry telling News 2, your county may not be under a burn ban, but you still may not be able to burn.
Local municipalities, like I said, can issue their own restrictions. And when those restrictions are in place, they trump the Division of Forestry's rules. So if Murfreesboro says don't burn, then folks should not be burning there, regardless of whether or not the Tennessee Division of Forestry has restricted burning in that area.
Currently, Laverne and Murfreesboro have imposed burn bans for things like campfires and cooking fires. You can call your local city or fire department or go to your fire department's website to make sure before you burn. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Yeah, it is bumper to bumper trying to get out of downtown, and we've got a few hurdles to add into the mix. If you are north of downtown and you are westbound on Briley Parkway, there is some emergency road work right now that has blocked the westbound right shoulder right before you get to 24. And over here on 440 in West Nashville, looks like there's a disabled vehicle. It is blocking the westbound left shoulder right before you get to 40 there, westbound 440. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Just call the team today at this number, 615-470-8124, or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie. They'll take good care of you like you're one of their own. Be a part of the more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. You can gain your confidence back. You see, weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. These are customized treatment plans. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, and goals. Whether your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest techniques in weight loss management. Just go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
There it is. That music means it's time for the three amigos to gather. If you don't already know, the three amigos are in the newsroom. Ken Weaver.
Good afternoon, boys. Yeah.
And they're over in the... We got to get you a new impression. I mean, really, honestly. How many years has W.C. Fields been dead?
A long time.
Long time.
Yeah, long time. Do you do any other impression?
I'd have to think about it. No, WC, he's the one that I do. I've done him for a real long time, ever since high school.
Too long.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Used to have my friends watch W.C. Fields movies with me.
And they were like,
you know what? Right
Ken,
now,
we got to get some
you,
new movies.
I got to tell you, Ken, and out there in Radio Land right now, there are people saying, "Who's W.C. Fields?"
Oh, Bill Fields.
Oh, why didn't you say so?
Well, of course. Well, he's amigo number one. Number two is Chris Weber over in the control room.
Hello.
Hello, and I'm Brian Wilson, amigo number three. Together we make up three amigos. The idea is that we bring together, some kind of interesting little odd thing that we found deep where, somewhere on the internet or someplace. But that, you know what? Sometimes we get through them and sometimes we get diverted.
Yep. That's what happens.
It's always possible. I've been diverted 3 times now already. Let's start out. Who wants to go first today?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
All right. What lengths would you go to retrieve your phone, fellas? I've seen people. I haven't seen it, but I've known of people to do some gross things to retrieve their phone, and I'm not going to go into it.
I can already visualize.
Well, this one is not one of them.
Okay.
Woman rescued after getting trapped in crevice for 7 hours trying to get her phone back.
That's great.
This was in Australia's Hunter Valley. She slipped into a 10-foot crevice between 2 boulders, but ended up hanging by her feet upside down, unable to get out.
Oh, my goodness.
Her friends tried, but to no avail. After an hour, they finally decided to call first responders, who had to respond with a team capable of moving boulders that weigh over 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
So the team leader says, we faced the challenge of navigating the patient out through a tight S bend. This took an hour. On top of the hour she had already sat there before her friends finally figured out they're not going to be able to do it.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow. Well, here's the other part of it. The first responders started sharing photos of the woman's bare feet sticking out between the small gap in the boulders. Now, they say she was a real trooper. They say she stayed calm in the situation. Anything that they asked her to do, she was able to do it, which helped get her out. But again, after about 7 hours.
Good Lord, 7 hours.
Yeah.
Upside down in a crevice.
Down in a crevice. She came away with just minor scratches and bruises, pictures of her feet hanging upside down.
That's the price she had to pay.
And no phone.
They never got her phone.
Never got the phone. That's right. I love that. That's amazing.
So,
people are way too attached to their phones.
Yeah, there's no way I would do something like that.
When you said retrieve your phone, I was thinking more about, people who forget their phones. I can think of one person in my life.
Yeah.
Be careful now.
Who is always forgetting her phone. So you know what I did? I had one of them label makers.
Yeah.
And I printed up a big old label about you can't see it if you watch it on Super Time, but that big.
Yeah.
It's across the dashboard on the passenger side of my car. And it says, "Do you have your phone?" ? And I forget it's there. It's been a running joke between me and a certain person in my life,
right,
whose name will not be mentioned about a wife, and she, and so but other people get into the car and they think it's hilarious, because but they say I posted this online and got a lot of comments about it, but
I mean, if it works, I guess it's a good reminder.
Well, I just got tired of getting 2 miles down the road from the house and going, oh, I forgot my phone.
Yeah.
That drives me crazy.
You have to turn around and go back.
Because one time I said, no, well, you're just not going to have to do without your phone. Oh, that doesn't go over.
Oh, it does not.
No,
not in this business, man.
No. Well, not in her business. She doesn't like being without her phone. Because, if we're going somewhere, so there's going to be pictures taken.
Oh, yes.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So what do you got, Chris?
All right. I wanted to do something a little different. This is an obituary for a gentleman that passed away a couple weeks ago, and I just found it fascinating. And I don't know if he wrote it or if he just had his family write it because his family wrote it because they knew he would really appreciate this. But it's a gentleman named Robert Boehm, and he was from Winters, Texas. He died back on October 6th, and I'm just going to read his sections of his obituary, and it's just very entertaining. Robert Adolph Boehm, in accordance with his lifelong dedication to his own personal brand of decorum, muttered his last unintelligible and likely unnecessary curse on October 6th, shortly before tripping backwards over some stupid mother effing thing and hitting his head on the floor.
Oh, my
Robert was born in Winters, Texas, to the late Walter Boehm and Betty Smith on May 6, 1950, after which God immediately and thankfully broke the mold and attempted to cover up the evidence. Raised Catholic, Robert managed to get his wife Diane pregnant fast enough just to barely just miss the being drafted into the Vietnam War by fathering Michelle, John, and Charlotte between 1967 and 1972. Much later, with Robert possibly concerned about the brewing conflict in Grenada, Charles was born in 1983. This lack of military service was probably for the best, as when taking up shooting as a hobby in his later years, he managed to blow not one but two holes in the dash of his own car on two separate occasions, which unfortunately did not even startle, let alone surprise, his dear wife Diane, who was much accustomed to such happenings in his presence and may have actually been safer in the jungles of Vietnam the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the world in conflict elsewhere, Robert made do by learning to roof, maintain traffic signs with the city of Amarillo, and eventually became a semi-professional truck driver, not to be confused with a professional semi-truck driver. A man of many interests, including historical weapons. His penchant. He also had a penchant for fashion and frequently was seen about town wearing the latest trend in homemade leather moccasins, a wide collection of unconventional hats, and boldly mismatched shirts and pants.
Boldly.
Yeah. Robert also kept a wide selection of harmonicas on hand, not to play personally, but to prompt his beloved dogs to howl continuously at odd hours of the night to entertain his many neighbors, and occasionally to give his many grandchildren and great-grandchildren to play proudly or loudly during long road trips with their parents. Earlier this year in February, God finally showed mercy upon Diane, getting her the hell out of there for some well-earned peace and quiet. Without Diane to gleefully entertain, Robert shifted his creative focus to the entertainment of you, the fine townspeople of Clarendon, Texas. Over the last 8 months, if you have not met Robert or seen his road show yet, you probably would have soon. We have all done our best to enjoy/weather Robert's antics up to this point, but he's God's problem now. Robert's farewell will be held on Monday, October 14th at Memorial Park Funeral Home. The family encourages you to dust off whatever outdated or inappropriate combination of clothing you have available to attend. A tip jar will be available in the front, and flowers are also accepted.
Well, listen, I hope somebody writes one like that for me.
That was fantastic.
That's fantastic.
He must have been one heck of a character.
One character, yeah. And somebody like that would probably enjoy the fact
absolutely.
That he may have even written it himself, but I doubt it. Yeah, doesn't sound that's great. Yeah. Well, mine is not that good, but it's interesting, I think. Copy of William Shakespeare's Life of King Henry V returned to a New Jersey library 101 years after it was checked out.
Good grief.
Patterson Public Library officials said a woman named Cynthia Del Hay found the book while sorting through the possessions that had belonged to her deceased grandmother, Arlene, and discovered the tome had been checked out of the library in 1923.
Wow.
She contacted the library and made arrangements to return the book. It's never too late to return overdue library materials, said Corey Fleming, director of the Peterson Public Library. This is the first time we've encountered something like this in over 20 years of working in this field. But there is one that is out there that has been, dedicated. I think it was in Colorado. They had one that returned. A copy of Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott was returned 105 years after its due date.
Wow.
Which since it was in New Jersey, which is next to New York City, I wonder if Detective Bookman was called into the scene.
Making a scene.
Oh.
Yeah, you know I love that scene. It's one of the most watched scenes when people go back and look at old Seinfeld clips. This one is always big,
fantastic.
And Jerry Seinfeld later said that he could not keep a straight face. It took them forever to do that scene because he could not keep a straight face.
If you watch closely, you can actually see Jerry trying not to break several times during that. Especially when Mr. Bookman snaps around and you funny boy. You know,
making the scene.
It's a great performance. 5:50 now on Super Talk 99.7. You know, upcoming presidential election has most of us wondering, how will we be affected? Our money, investments, even our retirement. Well, you're not alone, but there are steps you can take now to be better positioned regardless of who wins. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter who the president is, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. All you have to do here, what have you got to lose here? Call this number, 615-488-9303, to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. The number again, 615-488-9303.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Matt Murphy with Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2024 is coming to a close, and what a great year it was. We are looking forward to an exciting 2025, and we want you to be a part of it. If you're looking for marketing or digital strategy for your business, we want to be on your team. It is a wonderful three-legged stool. You, me, and the listener, and we want to be a part of your family. So join us at 997wtn.com/epic to find out more, and we'll see you at 2025.
6 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday evening. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes and the breaking news now. At least one person dead, 10 others hospitalized in an E. coli outbreak, which the CDC says might be linked to a popular fast food restaurant. Here's Brian Clark with more.
E. coli has sickened at least 49 people in 10 states, according to the CDC, which says the outbreak may be linked to McDonald's Quarter Pounder hamburgers, specifically the beef patties or the onions. McDonald's says food safety is its top priority and that it's removed Quarter Pounders from menus in Colorado, which had the most cases with 27, Kansas, Utah, Wyoming, and parts of Idaho, Iowa, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, and Oklahoma.
Tennessee and Kentucky not among the states in this outbreak. Meanwhile, that listeria contamination recall of frozen waffles has been expanded to include pancakes, too. CBS News says the frozen waffles and pancakes by Treehouse were sold at popular retailers like Aldi, Dollar General, Kroger, Publix, Target, Trader Joe's, and Walmart. Election 2024. Davidson County election officials say power outages at a couple of early voting locations have not stopped voters from casting ballots. It just took longer. Meanwhile, Channel 4 spoke to voters at the Lentz Public Health Building on Charlotte Avenue today.
It's super easy. There's some really clear directional signage that tells you where to go, and they walk you through the process, and I think I was in and out in like 5 minutes.
We were worried that it was going to be packed when we first came in because the parking lot seemed packed, but it was seamless. It was very easy, yeah.
At least 76,000 ballots have been cast since early voting started in Davidson County. University of Florida's election lab says close to 20 million nationwide have already voted. There's no way to know how they voted until the ballots are counted, but Stephen Portnoy looks at what we can glean from the data.
In states where it's available, party registration of those voting early offers a bit of fodder for prognosticators. In the key battlegrounds of Arizona and Nevada, ballots cast or mailed so far by registered Republicans now outnumber those cast or mailed by Democrats. In North Carolina, at last check, slightly more registered Democrats than Republicans had taken part in early voting. But in Pennsylvania, the overwhelming majority of mail-in ballots returned so far have been sent in by registered Democrats.
Early voting in Tennessee runs through Halloween. Metro leaders today going to talk about license plate reader cameras. I should say tonight. A meeting's getting underway right now at Cane Ridge High School involving Metro Police and other department leaders. They want these license plate readers in the wake of the murder of Alyssa Lockett on the Mill Creek Greenway in Antioch. Metro Police Chief John Drake says they could have helped save that case faster. And District 26 Metro Council member Courtney Johnston in studio on WTN's Matt Murphy show today.
LPRs are something that the police department have been begging for years and years. When I was first elected in 2019, I went to the department. Public safety is my number one topic and focus. And I said, what can I do? And they said, we need LPRs. And so I filed that legislation in 2020. It took 2.5 years, and my God, the fights.
Well, Mayor Freddie O'Connell telling WTN's Matt Murphy last week that a new proposal for license plate reader cameras could be ready by year's end. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, things are starting to get a little bit better on the East Loop downtown to go east or westbound. But before you get there, 65 northbound into downtown is backed up beyond Berry Hill to go east there on 40. Then you've got east and westbound 40. That is going to be very slow both directions in between downtown and the 24 split. 24 eastbound, south out of downtown. That's not clearing up until you get past Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. You're listening to The Drive on this 22nd day of October. Just 14 days till the election. 14 days, and our long national nightmare will be starting to be over, but it won't be over. I wish I could say that it would be done on election day, but it won't be. We're going to be, I don't know. Some people have projected, that they won't have their results in for a day or two. And some people have said, well, it could be some of these elections are so tight we won't have the answer for maybe 4 days. That would take it into Saturday following the election. Wow. Just wow. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll watch it. And again, every day between now and then, you can count on me to give you the very latest that I can find on where things are standing. Just to recap very succinctly, not spend a lot of time on it. It's tight still, but as I look at it, what I see that it encourages me is the fact that there are, there's a trend toward Trump and away from Kamala Harris. A lot of other things that I think are positive, but I just have to say, at the end of the day, it's still all within the margin of error. So tight, but a trend that I like, and a trend that I think, they say the trend is your friend. If you got the trend going in your direction, that's what you want. And I think that it's undeniably a trend toward Trump. Some other news. This is pretty interesting stuff, and I haven't heard a lot about this. So we keep thinking that, we're going to need a lot of lithium in the days going forward. Why? Because we need to make batteries, big batteries for the cars that we're going to drive. And there's a worldwide demand for lithium. And right now, we've been real concerned about, having to go overseas to get our lithium, and that at some point that could be a national security or a problem. And well, it turns out, get this, we have a lot of lithium in the United States and in the damnedest place. You would never imagine. If I were to ask you, Chris Webber, where do you think the lithium is in America?
Arizona.
Yeah, you think Arizona, out in the west,
like that,
Montana, Wyoming, places where they do a lot of mining of minerals. It's not. It's in southwestern Arkansas.
Huh.
How about that, huh? Researchers say Arkansas may have 19 million tons of lithium, critical for making batteries. The estimated lithium reserves would be more than 9 times what's needed to meet projected global lithium demand in 2030 for EV batteries. That's a lot of lithium. New study led by the U.S. Geological Survey found a large amount of lithium reserves in southwestern Arkansas that could help meet rising demand for lithium in electric vehicle car batteries. The USGS worked with the Arkansas Department of Energy and the Environmental Office of the State Geologist to examine a geological unit known as the Smackover Formation to determine. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a term you hear a lot in the future, the Smackover Formation, to determine the amount of lithium in brines that are co-produced during oil and gas exploration. The study estimated there are between 5 million and 19 million tons of lithium reserves present in the formation. While the estimate was the amount of lithium in place, it didn't assess how much of that is technically recoverable. If the reserves can be recovered commercially, the low-end estimate of 5 million tons would be enough to meet the world's projected 2030 demand for lithium batteries 9 times over. Lithium is a critical mineral that has seen a global demand surge in recent years, a trend that's expected to continue as the transition from fossil fuels to electric and hybrid vehicles accelerates in the years ahead, given its use in rechargeable EV batteries. The mineral is also used in the production of glass and aluminum products. Who knew? And can be found in portable electronic devices, electric tools, and has energy grid storage applications. Wow. Our research was able to estimate total lithium present in the southwestern portion of the Smackover. I like that term. The Smackover in Arkansas for the first time. That's something. It's important to caution these estimates are an in-place assessment. We have not estimated what is technically recoverable based on newer methods to extract lithium from brines. But anyway, they used some artificial intelligence to analyze samples from the Smackover Formation, and they compared it against USGS databases of samples of brines and water from hydrocarbon production, and they came up with this estimate. You know, I am interested in things that come out of the ground. I think it's because I grew up in West Texas. I grew up in the Permian Basin, a huge area for oil and natural gas production. And you know, it's something I've been around all my life, the extraction of minerals and oil and gas from the ground. And I guess the thing that I saw time and time again is how many times, you know, people, for example, out in West Texas said, well, we got all the easy oil. Now this area is going to go into decline. And then they'd find, well, there's a way to get some of the more difficult oil out of the ground. So it comes roaring back. And then they went to shale oil, and that's the last time that happened, we thought, well, this is it. This is it for the old oil field. It's all used up. And then they found shale. And then they did fracking in the shale, and they got all kinds of natural gas and oil. And you know, that West Texas area has you know, gone through boom and bust, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, it's still viable. And I've seen what happens to an area. You know, my hometown of Odessa was in the first, I forget, 6 or 7 decades, the city of Odessa doubled its population every 10 years for 6, 7 decades. It was amazing. Because when it blows up big. And that's probably what we're going to see in southwestern Arkansas. As we need more lithium. I mean, why would you go overseas and have it shipped in when you can get it in Arkansas? You know, what else is Arkansas known for? Besides the Razorbacks. Walmart, that's about it. I was just thinking Walmart, yeah, but I mean, it's going to be a big boon to that area, and it's going to go through a huge, huge growth spurt. But one way or the other, I think that's pretty fascinating. Enough lithium to meet the demands in 2030 9 times over. That's a huge, huge find. This next story, is it strange to you that we've been talking a lot about McDonald's, and Donald Trump goes to McDonald's and he has some, fun, handing out fries, and then he stands at the window and he hands out some burgers. And then today, it's almost as if somebody gets something on them McDonald people because they helped Donald Trump, and we can't have that. McDonald's shares fall after the CDC says E. coli outbreak linked to the Quarter Pounders. McDonald's shares dropped in extended trading Tuesday after the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said an E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's Quarter Pound burgers has led to 10 hospitalizations and 1 death. The agency said 49 cases have been reported in 10 states between September 27th and October 11th, with most of the illnesses in Colorado and Nebraska. Most sick people report eating a McDonald's Quarter Pounder. One of the patients developed something known as hemolytic uremic syndrome, which can lead to kidney failure. McDonald's shares dropped about 7% in after-hours trading. McDonald's says it's taking it seriously, taking swift and decisive action following the E. coli outbreak in certain states. And they have a map showing where most of the E. coli outbreaks were. Quarter Pounder hamburgers will be temporarily unavailable in several western states, including Colorado, Kansas, Utah, and Wyoming. McDonald's said it added it was working with suppliers to replenish the ingredients. Okay, so what's in a Quarter Pounder that's not in everything else?
That's what I was thinking. Is they have separate beef patties just for the Quarter Pounder? I thought it was just a couple of patties.
Maybe they do.
One.
I mean, maybe a Quarter Pounder is a different thickness of burger.
Yeah, it must be a fatter patty, I guess. I've never really paid attention.
Well, let's just go to the old Google machine. And this Quarter Pound. I'm just dying to know. I can't type while I'm trying to talk on the radio. Ingredients. Oh, why can't I type? Quarter Pounder with cheese. Ingredients. Oh, stop. Each Quarter Pounder with cheese features a 1/4 pound of 100%. Yeah, it does look like it's thicker. It's one burger.
Oh, it's one
burger,
patty. Okay.
And it's thicker.
Yeah.
Each fresh burger is seasoned with just a pinch of salt and pepper, sizzled on a flat iron grill, then topped with slivered onions, tangy pickles, because they're not just regular pickles, they're tangy pickles, 2 slices of melty American cheese on a sesame seed bun. To all beef patty, special cheese, lettuce. No, that's the different
That's the
one.
Big Mac.
That's the big. Yeah. No, that's not the Big Mac. That's.
Yeah.
No, is that the Big Mac?
Yeah.
No, isn't that over at something?
No, that's the Big Mac.
To all special patties, to all beef patty, special cheese,
special
lettuce,
sauce,
tomato.
To all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Yeah,
there you go.
That's the Big Mac.
It contains no artificial flavors, preservatives, or added colors from artificial sources. Our pickle contains an artificial preservative, if you'd like. So skip it if you like. A Quarter Pounder with cheese has 520 calories. Huh. But that's what's in it.
So it's just those 1/4 pound beef patties.
Yeah, I guess that's it. They said it was either that or the onions, but they use onions on
everything.
On every burger, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but that's interesting. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens there. But I just thought it was sort of strange. Here it is, when McDonald's is in the news, and then all of a sudden, we're investigating McDonald's. Well, I guess if there are people actually getting sick, you have to take a look at it. But how is it that they so quickly identified McDonald's as the culprit? I guess they asked people, "What's the last thing you ate?"
I mean, a lot of people would say McDonald's.
Epidemiological investigation. That's what they would do. You epidemiologists. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Did you know you're funding America's future, and it's not the future you want for your kids? Most major credit cards funnel millions to liberal causes and candidates, hoping you just don't notice. Take a stand and get woke out of your wallet. Coin is the conservatives' credit card. You can earn cash back while advancing a conservative future. Apply now at coin.com. Let me spell that for you because it's an unusual spelling. COIGN.com. I've got one in my pocket. You get one in yours. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Well, we got a lot of action on the members nutrition super text line regarding a discussion about quarter pounders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And apparently there are many out there who are quarter pounder experts of some kind.
Or former McDonald's employees.
Could be,
sure.
because I read a statistic that 1 in 8 Americans has worked in a McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're everywhere, so I guess
Yeah,
that's not
I mean,
surprising.
it's a good first job,
Yeah,
So what did they tell us?
Well,
What did they tell us?
The
about?
consensus with the Quarter Pounder is that it is the only burger that McDonald's prepares that has fresh beef patties and not frozen beef patties. So those Quarter Pound beef patties they use are fresh and not frozen when they arrive at the McDonald's locations. Also, the onions that are on the Quarter Pounder are different. Those are slivered onions, so fresh cut onions rather than the dehydrated, I guess the reconstituted onions or whatever that they use on all the other burgers. So the beef patties are different and the onions are different. So I guess it could have been one of those.
Could have been
two
something.
things.
Well, okay. Well, listen, you can't, in some parts of the country right now, you can't get a Quarter Pounder.
I wouldn't order one right now.
I wouldn't. I'd wait a few days.
Wait. Yep.
Yeah. Go with the fillet of fish.
No, thank you. I'll pass.
No, it's a great sandwich. It's a great sandwich.
Okay, if you say so.
All right.
Extra tartar sauce, or how you go with that, Ian?
You think about
You like the
the
tartar?
thing is whenever when I eat a McDonald's, it's usually I'm eating in the car while I'm driving.
Mm.
And so what I like about it is it's like, man, I'm hungry. I got to get something quick. I'll just get some McDonald's. I usually get a cheeseburger and a fillet of fish because I like the fillet of fish. So the cheeseburger, you can sort of eat that and not get it all over you.
Yeah.
The tartar sauce
That's
will
the problem,
glop
huh?
on you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost impossible to eat a fillet of fish without getting tartar sauce all over you.
But it doesn't taste right if you don't have tartar sauce,
You
right?
got to have the tartar sauce.
Yeah, okay.
You can't choke it down without the tartar sauce. All right, enough of that nonsense. Listen, I hope they get their problem straightened out. Key battleground state voter registration. Oh, no, we're going to do this other story. I wanted to do this other story. Very much the conversation about license plate readers. License plate readers in Nashville. We had a test pilot and it worked well. They got 112 people who were felons, were caught by using the license plate readers. And then when the test ended, they thought they would just go forward and begin if everything went well with the test, and it did. Then they would go forward. But then, apparently some in some communities, they got upset about where the cameras were. And I think really the bottom line is they didn't like the fact that people were getting arrested. Well, that's unfair. You're arresting us. Well, you have outstanding felony warrants. That's the way it goes. Chuckles, I'm sorry. If you have an outstanding a felony warrant and then they find you because they have cameras now, then it's time for you to go to the Gray Bar Hotel. I'm sorry. But they didn't like it, and they complained about it, and now the mayor's being kind of, maybe he will do it, maybe he won't do it, and, well, maybe we'll come up with something, but he's been sort of wobbly on the whole thing. Came up at a press conference the other day. Dennis Ferrier from over at Fox 17 was asking the mayor some pretty pointed questions about it.
Mayor, you talked about using all the resources to fight crime. The elephant in the room is the LPRs. We've talked since...
I'd say that's your perspective, Dennis,
okay,
but
yeah,
thank
it
you.
is. It is. It is my perspective, and maybe a few others like Chief John Drake and maybe Glenn Funk and maybe your own
I wouldn't
neighborhood.
say that any of them have characterized it that way,
Okay,
but we are
neighborhood
working partly with
association.
them.
Well, let me ask you then, while Nashville's streets run with blood, what is wrong
Again,
with
this
this
is
policy?
absolutely your characterization,
Okay,
Dennis.
well, we
and
had
that's-
10...
we did.
We had
And
10, 12 shootings.
we are very
since
aware of the
Saturday?
violent crime incidents, but we are also pleased that with all of the efforts of
Do you sort of get the impression that that Ferrier and the mayor don't like each other? I mean, I sort of get that impression, but go ahead.
everything that MMPD and MPHD are doing, violent crime remains down year over year. We are actively working with the Metro Council right now on FUSIS, which is a technology-based approach. We just received feedback this week from MMPD that we had been waiting on about our LPR policies, and we are intending to take that right back before the Metro Council.
Can you tell me specifically what has been wrong with the LPR policy that has held it up for months? I think it's fair at this point to ask you what is it.
We will be happy to share with you the list of concerns that we heard from multiple communities across Nashville and Davidson County that Metro Council members were aware of last year, and they remain aware of. I think this is going to continue to be something advertising where we are looking for the right balance between privacy and security. And it is clear that MMPD is having success apprehending criminals, even with the absence of LPRs, as they have for decades. There are a number of scenarios that have come up that we have reviewed with you already, and we'll be happy to send you more data.
I would love to see that because your chief, who just lauded and is very well respected and winning awards, he just the other day asked again for LPRs. He wants LPRs,
and his department has just shared with us the feedback on the policy updates we plan to take to the Metro Council.
Well, I think that he's being weaselly about it. Get them in there. Get them started. Start arresting felons. Make the city a safer place. Job one, when you're the mayor, is public safety. And this will improve public safety. Time for the news now at 6:30. Hey, it's the spooky season. Don't get tricked. Let Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Root Pro partner, treat your family. They have 2 contests going on that you can enter during the month of October. If you think you have a scary furnace, tag Busy Bee with your scary furnace picture on any of the social media platforms for a chance to win a date night on them, a couple of Preds tickets, dinner for 2, winner to be announced on November 1st. How about a free Beehive membership? All you have to do is carve a pumpkin of Buzz the Bee, then post and tag Busy Bee on any social media platforms. And as a Beehive member, you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups. 1 aimed at cooling, 1 aimed at heating, 1 aimed at plumbing. 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit up to $1,000 max, and no overtime or holiday fees, all for as little as $99. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit BusyBeeHVAC.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 39 minutes now past the hour. Boy, that means that we are wrapping it up here on a Tuesday, and we're going to be getting get ready to, to get out of here and get out and make way for Mark Levin to come in after the news. He's the great one, and you will always love hearing from Mark Levin. He always brings his A game, that's for sure. Let's go through some last-minute stories, and I think this is interesting. Battleground state voter registration data shows influential shifts favoring the GOP. Listen to this statistic. It's pretty amazing. Nearly 55,000 registered Pennsylvania Democrats changed their party affiliation this year. Rural and urban Pennsylvania supporters talked about it. The Democrat Party is losing its edge over the GOP in the critical swing state of Pennsylvania, with Democrats changing their party affiliation at more than twice the rate of Republicans, according to state data released after voter registration ended Monday evening. A total of 9 million and change registered voters were tallied across the state when the sign-up period ended at midnight on Monday. Registered Democrats maintained a lead over registered Republicans, but more than 1.4 million voters are registered as third-party or independent voters in the Keystone states. Although the Democrat Party accounts for nearly 44% of registered voters, compared with the GOP's 40%, it's been seen its advantage over Republicans dwindle this year. President, let's see, in 2020, there were 9 million registered voters across the parties in Pennsylvania, only slightly more than the 9,088,000 voters registered this cycle. But they whittled down the lead to a 297,824 margin. I mean, really, a huge number of people have registered as Republicans, and in Pennsylvania, this is important. You know why? There are people in the middle of the state who have never cast a ballot in a presidential election. I'm not talking about new voters, young people. I'm talking about people who have been around for a while. And you know why that is? It's because sometimes the Amish don't participate in elections. And the middle of the state has a big Amish population, a huge population there. And so the Republicans have done everything they can to infiltrate those. When they do vote, they tend to vote conservative and they tend to vote Republican. So getting them registered and getting them to the ballot is a new thing. And apparently they have convinced a lot of people in the Amish community to get out there and register when they've never registered for an election before. That's pretty interesting stuff, I think. But, I mean, we are seeing early voting is really quite something. I mean, it is up dramatically all across the country, and especially in the battleground states. And Republicans, in some places we get data where we find out where the Republicans are and where the Democrats are. And, you know, you don't get detailed like, you know, what the vote tallies were, but you can say, well, today X number of Democrats and X number of registered Republicans voted, and the Republicans are showing up in much bigger numbers. That everything you don't have to completely dominate them in that category to win. But I'm telling you, there is something going on there with that regard, because the Republicans have worked very hard to get people registered and to get them to vote early. And, you know, if you haven't done that, you've got until, what is it, the 30th? I believe that's right. Yep. 30th. The 30th of this month to go cast your ballot. We had Trey Hargett on, the Secretary of State, and he told us that I have the numbers. I wrote them down. It is, well, I say I have the numbers. I know I did write it down somewhere. It's like 200 and some odd thousand people have voted already. 820,000 people have voted so far. In Davidson County, 77,900. In Shelby County, 91,700 and change. In Knox County, 58,000 and change. Here's some of the surrounding areas, though, to Davidson County. Murray County, 10,625 so far. Rutherford, 46,300. Sumner, 21,000. Williamson County, 44,000 and change. Wilson County, 24,000 and change. But Davidson County, 77,000. Now, if you add all of the surrounding areas, they way outnumber the votes in Davidson, which is mostly blue, and the areas outside are mostly red. So that's to be expected. So there you go. I mean, good numbers and good turnout there. And again, some indications that something is afoot. You can draw certain conclusions from the early voting. And in some battleground states where they break it out, it's been looking pretty good. In Nevada, for example, we may find out that the early voting among Republicans has made it almost certain that Trump will win the state. Because they look at Clark County. I mean, you got Clark County, and then not much else in the state. I mean, compared to Clark County, it's largely small population centers, not much in the way of population outside of Clark County. And If you get the Clark County numbers figured out, then and you know what history tells you about the others, I'm telling you, I think Nevada is going to be a win for sure, and maybe some others as well. We'll get some sense of it. Bombshell House report reveals that Trump prosecutor Nathan Wade, remember him? You know, the girlfriend of Fannie, that he met with the White House. Now, we've heard this before. Nathan Wade, the Georgia lawyer tapped to prosecute former President Donald Trump by his one-time lover. Fulton County prosecutor Fannie Willis has had extensive communications with the Biden-Harris White House, new records show. Wade billed the Fulton County office for hours of meeting with the White House, the Congressional January 6th Committee, and other D.C. officials, according to records obtained by the House Judiciary Committee. On Monday, the committee released a transcript of an interview with Wade, which was compelled by subpoena, in which he said that Willis was preparing to prosecute Trump even before she took office, and that she put Wade on a search committee to find a prosecutor, which ultimately became him. He found himself. And so listen to this transcript. I'm going to read the transcript of questions that they asked Wade when they called him in to ask him about this in the investigation on Capitol Hill. Did anyone from the White House travel to Georgia to meet with you? That's a tough question because I don't know who. I don't know who is in the White House. Do you have any recollection of what you're referring to or who you were referring to when you said interview with D.C. White House? I don't. Do you recall if you traveled to D.C. for this meeting? I don't recall. You don't recall if you went to the nation's capital? That wouldn't stick in your mind? A trip to the nation's capital you don't recall? Do you recall if anyone traveled to you in Georgia for this interview? I don't recall. Do you recall if you reached out to schedule this interview, if someone of the White House reached out to you to schedule the interview? I don't recall. He doesn't remember a lot. But they have found that, indeed, he billed for the hours while he was there. So either he went or he lied on the billing. Either way, it's a problem, right? Here's from Susan Faricio, our friend over at the Washington Times. Nathan Wade, who led the Fulton County election interference case against Donald Trump while having an affair with District Attorney Fannie Willis, admitted to congressional investigators he met with White House officials several times, but could not remember the details. Served as a special prosecutor. You remember that? Ms. Willis hired Mr. Wade even though he was a divorce lawyer with little experience prosecuting criminal cases. In 2022, he was paid nearly $700,000 to oversee the case against the former president, according to a co-defendant seeking to have that charge dismissed. Mr. Wade, according to a transcript released Monday, told lawmakers that Ms. Willis began planning the prosecution of Mr. Trump sometime after the November 20th election and before the day she took office. Already working on it. Do you think that's fair? Justice? That to have your mind made up that you're going to investigate a crime even before you get to office? It doesn't seem right to me. FBI has opened an investigation into the leak of top-secret U.S. intelligence documents, writes Axios. This has to do with Israel's preparation for an attack against Iran, one of the most serious security breaches within the U.S. intelligence community in years. It exposed sensitive U.S. spying on one of its closest allies and potentially risks disrupting Israel's plan to retaliate against Iran for its ballistic missile attack earlier this month. A Telegram channel named the Mideast Spectator claimed on Friday that it had received documents from a source in the U.S. intelligence community about Israel's preparation for an attack on Iran. The FBI is investigating the alleged leak of classified documents, working closely with our partners in the Department of Defense and intelligence community. As this is an ongoing investigation, we will have no further comment. U.S. officials told Axios the Biden administration made clear to the Israeli government that it considers the leak extremely serious and is taking precautions to ensure such a breach will never happen again. White House spokesman John Kirby told reporters that President Biden is deeply concerned. When he's awake about the leak? No, he's concerned, he says, about the leak and will be actively monitoring the progress of the investigative effort. Kirby stressed that at this time there's no indication or reason to believe that additional documents have been leaked. Isn't that something? A big investigation. Now, some of the other reports have mentioned the name of someone. I have a lot of respect for Jennifer Griffin, who covers that beat for Fox, and she says that that information of the named individual is inaccurate, but it still bounces around quite a bit. It is now 50 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. I'm going to put aside my regular talking points about United Structural Systems and talk a little bit about my own personal experience, because even though they have been around since 1994, more than 30 years, they've had more than 25,000 satisfied customers. Until now, I have not been one of them, but I am now. And I'm a well-satisfied customer. I had some foundation issues, the classic, stair-step cracks and masonry mortar joints, and I was concerned about it. And they came out, took a look. I said, yep, we need to get on that. And they fixed it. And I got to tell you, when it was all said and done, I could not tell that it had been repaired. It looked just like new. And then there was some concern about the moisture in my crawl space, and so they went in and put in some sump pumps and did some work down there. I mean, there was a guy named Manny who was down there crawling around for days, making sure that they got it just right. Great attention to detail, and they worked it, and it's done. If it's foundation repairs, waterproofing, or maybe you have concrete that's sinking or sloping, all of these things can be handled by the good folks at USS, United Structural Systems. Here's the number: 615-488-7855. Learn more at USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.